We're gonna just go over the budget with everything that was turned in. Everything is all plugged in the system as is. But I don't have the fund balance worksheet because I'm having a problem with our system. Solutions. So I don't know what you guys wanna touch base on. Do you guys wanna start from the beginning, or what do you wanna do? Right here, it is. Yeah. Hey Chad, so that one that you just showed me,
Yep.
that has your new max rate for the general basic, 4.64%?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what it is
yeah,
now.
4.64244.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's correct.
There was 5.33% growth,
Yep.
taxable growth there.
Taxable growth, yeah. But revenue growth, we showed at 3.27%
Yeah, okay.
for Henry County.
So I don't have where do you wanna start? How do you wanna do this?
I would start from the beginning, to be honest with you, with all those sheets that were turned in to us. Let's start from the beginning, and it'll say, operating transfers, which is, we're already pretty much set on that, because
Jake, I'm gonna use one of your graphs here in a little bit. We'll talk about community betterment so everybody understands where we're at with those dollars. Just give these guys a better visual.
Just that line graph, yeah.
Yeah, you can explain it a little bit. Since you're here,
I'm vested on that.
you are, but your numbers match mine, so that's a good thing, right?
Okay.
Like,
so Chad, just go in order, like, you see
Well,
the department at
they're
the top.
not in any order. I was up till last night, 1 o'clock, looking, thumbing through, looking, reading.
So you're all up to date, you're up to speed, you're ready to go.
Well, I
You got lots
would
of-
not go that far.
When
Yeah,
you
lots
say
of
start
questions.
from first, you mean starting
Attorney?
or supervisor?
Yeah, the supervisors would be department one,
Oh, so you wanna
where
start
it
by
says
department?
01, board of supervisors.
Nobody department.
So you wanna start by department?
Yeah, I mean, cause that's how everything should be in order.
Well,
Well, I'm just
depends on
saying.
how Chad filed his, right?
No, they were on footstool in piles. I would look through this one, then I was looking through my handwritten notes and that type of thing, so
Okay, are you on the supervisors?
I can find that.
Okay.
So
So,
I, before we get started on that, I think it probably just behooves everybody to understand, we've not decided on any raises of any sort at this point in time, so that everybody understands that. So when we start looking at what we're talking about from salary requests, those are in limbo because we've not decided, again, on a dollar value or a percent value. Right, Chad, Mark?
Correct, it all
We have
depends on
not
what our.
come to any conclusions whatsoever.
Right. Which I think we need to get a better grip on.
Yep.
Okay. You got the supervisors, Chad?
Start your talk.
Start your talking?
Yep.
All right.
so the first item there on the supervisors is the salaries for you guys.
That's frozen.
And then you have your office supplies, kinda up that, because if you look at that, this was printed out in December. And you guys already used $696 when you have $700. So I raised it to 8. That's something that needs to be watched, and we give you guys, at the end of each month, you guys should have something sent to your email of where your balances stand every month. That's what month end is. And it's sent to you guys' email, supervisors email.
Is there a way that when we look at these budgets that we can make sure everybody understands where what their allocation is total budget wise, but give them an alert when they hit like 75 or 80%?
They get the same thing. They get the same thing every month.
Does everybody look at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Every office should look at it.
Well, I would agree they should. That's why I just wanna verify that they do, because obviously if once you reach that 75 or 80% level, you're getting pretty close to the end.
Well, I know for sure the ones that are sitting in here, the department heads, they look
Yeah,
at it every time.
Just all nodded that they did, so that's
And I
good.
know
I think we
Lene
hound
does
you
too.
for it if it's not there right away.
Because if there's no money there, then you have to be a little bit creative on what you need to do.
Well, and I'm looking at it from the other perspective is, like, if there's a lot of money there, then what do? You just go out and spend it because you don't think you're
You
gonna get
should.
it? Or you just let it go for a normal business?
You should, no.
Depending on past practices.
I would take your perspective on that one, okay? Cause it
Because
seems like it
whatever's
could
not
happen.
used, it goes back.
Understand that, but I think there's a general perspective that if you don't use it, you lose it.
There
So
was,
they might as well use it.
Steve, I think there was that at one time, but I think that we preached, and I mean, really did preach, that if they had a legitimate budget request, you know, that they ran short, we'd always amend the budget if they had a reasonable request. But if we wanted a true budget,
Yeah.
the best as possible, and I think we have gotten that through to the department heads over the years.
Cause that'd be my concern, I don't wanna sit here in June or July and say, yeah, we're gonna amend budgets, because I don't think that should be the last resort, absolutely,
No, and
yeah, okay.
I'll raise your guys' publications up, because as many, pages I send to them, it's going up.
And this is the 42,000, raised by 20%, okay. And,
All the publishing fees, and we don't do anything on radio as far as that goes.
No,
Yeah.
I
No,
always send the
know.
agenda just to post so that it's aware to the public that they need. Mileage, you asked me to raise that from 1,000 to 6,000 because you're thinking about going to Washington DC.
correct. And that's where that falls in, mileage, meals, and lodging, right?
Yes. Telephone I've left at 0, and I know that he's looking for, cell phones for department heads. He's still looking into that.
And that ties into these phones as well, doesn't it? Which would all tie into the IT
I would
budget.
assume so,
he is saying, he was looking at things, he said.
yeah,
Yeah.
he still is.
And I know he's got a significant savings coming for us from that angle.
And I had
For
heard
the
that.
regular
I thought
phones,
that
land phones.
Pretty significant or substantial anyway.
And better service.
Your, education and training, it dropped to 1,000, cause you asked me to, so it's 1,300 is what you guys normally have done. But if you look at the past, you guys spent 1,467 in 2,000. I mean, and this is December's paper,
And we still have the conference in March.
so you wanted to
In
drop it
August?
to 1,000
I guess
and,
so. Right, so that's 1,200. Roughly more.
You know, in my mind, I think I benefit anyway from going through the ISAC training. I probably benefit as much from the hot topic sessions and things like that, learning from other counties rather than reinvent the wheel. Hearing things from that, I think ISAC's worth my investment in that, I think.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I would agree, that conversation we had with Abby Moss was pretty beneficial.
Yeah.
So, at our last ISAC conference. So, what's your proposal there? You wanna move that up to,
it was
'Cause
at
we're not gonna cover that.
13,000, or 1,300, and you asked me to drop it to 1,000.
and I understand, but we've already spent a significant portion of that halfway through the year, and we've got at least 2 conferences to go. at $200 a piece
You know
roughly.
what, I'm gonna just bring up that.
So 6 times 2 is another 12, roughly.
If you look at our past, I think 1750 might be the right number.
We're in the middle of that.
Because we had 2,000 and we've had almost 1,500.
Yeah, I don't think 1,000 is gonna be sufficient.
So 1750.
1750 is what you want.
Yes, ma'am.
Labor relations, 6,000, it's never been used, you asked me to remove that.
And you said that ties back to the old contract stuff and union stuff, is that right?
Back when you had to have union representation.
So that's a good drop.
Membership and dues, 750, in December, beginning of December, actually, if you sit and think about it, I printed these papers off in December,
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of December, you didn't do the end of, it doesn't have from the end of December,
To now.
yeah, so it's like
7
7 months that's not in there showing, so, and again, you guys had that paper,
Does this include ISAC and NACO?
why not? When did you go to that?
This one, the $600. Or is that something different?
I just print one in December here for you guys.
I don't know what
Steve, your Washington DC, that's NACO affiliated too, and
A broad range, yeah. NACO and Southeast Iowa Regional and ISAC. Good, wide
So-
group of people.
Really, you only have $200 left as of January.
In that, so what did that cover? I'm not sure I understand what's in dues and memberships, other than what we just
Like
talked
your
about.
ISAC dues
ISAC
and
and
the ISAC
NACO.
membership, yeah, all
Okay,
that.
alright.
And you guys asked me to raise that to 750. Is that what you want or no?
That sounds reasonable.
600.
Because we've been pretty much all over the board. Where would, we gave $500 to ISAC for that
Yeah,
court case, where would that fall into?
wherever we can find money there.
Just for an example, that amicus brief.
That'd be education training or?
Probably.
Didn't we already pay for that?
We did.
We did pay for
Should
it.
fall into that category, right? And I see more of that in the future. Working together. Especially with some stuff we just talked about at ISAC. We're not just talking about eminent domain, but we're talking about a couple other things, and even the assessor's office could use some of that ISAC guidance from our conversation the other night.
Yeah.
So if that falls under training, then we can leave the 1750 as it is. We just need
Well,
to be
your
aware.
training's up above, your education and training is 1750.
No, I understand. I was just
But your membership fees and dues are different.
correct. It's totally different. So if that's $500 onto the 1750, we can leave it as it is. We just need to understand where that money is coming from.
Yeah, and I wanna make sure that, I don't know absolutely, that $500, that joint effort through ISAC was coming out of there, but it seems like that'd be the logical line to use out of. for
Do you
that.
know? That $500 we paid for the amicus brief for ISAC.
I'll have to look it up, I can't get on to my stuff.
Did you kick it?
No, I don't know why it's doing that. No, it's just a thought.
Okay. Well, I made a note of that. We can
But
follow up on that.
I can go look that up.
Okay.
For that one alone, it really could have gone out of community betterment because it was for the rural people.
True.
But I thought you guys didn't want that to
I
come
know we
out.
didn't want to,
Didn't
I'm
want to
just
do
saying
that,
if it did.
And
Technically.
then when we had done something real similar on that soil compaction study, year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago,
Or if not longer,
concerning the wind energy and the soil compaction and how that would hinder crop yields and
Production.
things like that.
Okay. All right. So
So your office furniture and office equipment, We question marked that because you didn't know what you guys were gonna do.
I don't think we will have an answer for that one for probably, a month to 6 weeks.
Okay, so here's the thing,
So we
I could
should
put $1,200 in it for now,
tap that.
and then, and leave it.
Well, we're gonna have to have some money to pay for the study.
Depends on, at this point, there's no charge for the study, but we have another group that has contacted us when we were at ISAC the other day that wants to come down and look as well. So to provide us with a competitive bid. So I would suggest that we do that just to make sure that we get a good comparison and a little competition between the two.
What do you
Yeah.
want for a dollar?
So what would you think, Mark?
I put $1,200 upstairs, cause
Depending on how far it would go with that,
Exactly.
I mean, you could be $12,000 easily.
Exactly.
It really could be.
Exactly.
Or if you just use what we have, which
And are
I
you
think is
talking, are
fine.
you also talking about, so this is like
Okay,
new office equipment, like if you ever move your office or did anything to upgrade your office a little bit, that is also a community betterment because you're bettering for folks to come in and sit and watch these meetings or,
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think we should just, leave that at $200 now, because if we're gonna do something else, that's a capital improvement.
Mhm.
So I think we should take a look at where we are in capital improvements and look under that category rather than try to put something in here. And I know that share costs more than $200 apparently, but we can leave that as is for now.
so then your next line item on the back, you're into your general supplemental, that's just your FICA, IFRS, and, your group insurance.
Do we have a cost estimate on insurance yet? Is it going up like 80% or?
There is a
30?
rumor that it
Oh,
could
really?
possibly go up, 2.3%.
Are you going up there next week?
Yeah, it's next week, next Thursday and Friday.
Somewhere I had heard 3% because I already had that penciled
I
in
had
as a
three,
potential.
I
increase.
just say 3% because we don't know what our, dental's gonna do neither, because it hasn't been raised for many years.
We had that conversation at ISAC, I don't know if you caught in on, but they were saying roughly 3%.
Okay.
That's it on your guys's. Now I'll make a spreadsheet on, what's been asked for. You have the auditors,
Yeah, we talked about that just a few minutes ago, so if you wanna go through it, I've got a couple of questions that you brought up that we can
Yeah.
hit on.
Okay, on yours,
mm-hmm,
well, that would be under this year, so, okay, never mind. We're just thinking about special election, that'd be next year. Yep, this year.
We have to do one, yeah.
if you have to do one, yeah. It's
Average
gonna
cost for a
us-
special election is
It'd
ballpark,
be $12,000.
That's not,
okay. That's what we talked about, 10 to 12.
But is that really budget? It's hard to budget of the unknown,
Yeah, totally
because
understand.
we
that.
also have a Salem City special election,
that's a pass-through,
huh?
that's a pass-through.
Will they pay for that, Salem?
Yeah,
Salem pays
it
for
is,
The
but still,
numbers.
So what are your questions on the auditors?
A couple of them, where we're looking at, obviously, we talked about the salaries being frozen, so when we look at, Delia and Heidi, for example, you've broken that out really well here with Mandra, so we know the difference here when you're talking about the first 2 or 3 lines, but when we get over to the second page, when you're talking about pulling their salaries out of general supplemental. Can you break those down for us? And then you talked about maybe moving Heidi completely.
I could probably move Heidi completely into the general supplemental,
Yeah,
which would give more back to
The
the
general.
basic.
right.
But, because she does the insurance and she is the election deputy.
At least 95% of her salary could potentially get
Yeah,
moved over there.
yeah.
So I think we should look at that, so we understand that, but again, you've got this broken down by percentages, and I can
Yeah.
do it, but if you break those numbers out for us, I think that would help everybody here understand exactly
So
what those
up here,
dollars are.
Delia is our, real estate gal on the first page.
Mhm.
Most of her salary would come out of the general basic, cause she is the real estate deputy.
And you have her down at
upstairs.
70%, which is fine,
In the general
general basic.
basic. But then her other salary, cause she's also a part of the election team as well, is 30% in the supplemental.
Understand.
And then Heidi, I have her as well on there for 40% on the general basic,
Which could change.
which could change. And I could probably move her at 100% into the supplemental.
I think that's a good move. What do you guys think?
Well, she does do it, she said she,
She does a few
Yeah,
things,
I think
but she does
9
more of the
10%.
election side
I don't-
and the insurance.
Yeah.
So
you could raise the percentage
we
easily.
could, yeah, and
Makes some difference. Will make a difference.
either 100% or 95%.
90 to 95 is what you
So
said.
90, 95, something like
So you want
that.
her,
I don't care.
I don't either, it's just as long as it's
Because
realistic
she
and
does
you're
do a few
good.
other things, so I,
But
so 95% Heidi's salary,
it's a supplemental.
and 5% in the. Okay,
Because her salary today is, what's the total number? Is it the mid-50s?
Are you asking, Steve?
Yes, I think Mark and I kind of agree that we should move about 95% of her salary supplemental because of what she deals with. Do you have an agreement? There it is.
52.
So Robbie just said her salary's at 52, so we'd be moving the biggest portion of that over. 47-ish.
49,
49, okay.
49 and a half.
You use a calculator, I just used this. You're much more accurate.
49.4 if you want to know.
Perfect. 49.
49.4 will go in the supplemental. And this will go into.
Perfect.
Mander is a part of the, election team as well,
Yeah, and you've got her at
at
30%.
30%.
So,
Mander
what,
does the
yeah,
claims.
so once you get that all put back together, can you break those numbers out separately?
Like I just did,
For the general basic.
And for the supplemental?
I mean, you had it broke out in general basic.
yeah, I can do that.
Well, yeah, kind of. But it'll all be Delia now. It'll all, or-
Well, 5% will be Heidi, and then the other would be Delia.
Yeah. 'cause
And
that's the
Delia's
way-
also 30% in the supplemental.
That'd be clean and straightforward. Perfect.
Which is, it'll give more money back to the general basic.
$49,400.
Will be pulled out of supplemental.
Okay.
3,000 of that will go back into basic.
Good.
Okay.
Um,
Stationery, and this is just office supplies that we get in our office. Things have gone up. I just added, 500 because we've already used 2,000. Again, this is December's, what I printed out.
Do all of those supplies come from one location, or does every department order from somebody else?
Walmart and Bailey's.
Walmart and
Or
Bailey?
Amazon.
We do a lot of Amazon.
Yeah.
We do a lot of Amazon. We look at the prices.
There's the
and-
office, or I think we have a business account through that,
Yep.
correct?
Yep, that's correct. The
Sure.
entire county has a business.
And I
Through
said,
Amazon.
Yeah.
Is there a better way to
some
consolidate
will
that?
go out to Walmart and buy it the cheapest they can buy it right off the shelf there
Yeah,
too, so.
they need it right away.
Right away.
Well, I understand the short term, yeah. But it just seems like everybody's doing something a little bit different. If we could just consolidate that to make that more consistent, somehow, some way.
We've consolidated to Bailey's and some of us have, but, he looks into things a little bit more if we're asking for certain things. That's the reason why we keep on Bailey's sometimes. And then Amazon is a business account, which is, they give us better discounts too. They give us a huge discount.
Are you,
I'm questioning how you figure we can consolidate that. I mean, you're talking about, you want, what is it, 9 departments to all have one account through Bailey's, or, I don't understand where you're wanting to consolidate.
so for the consistency in the process, can we get better volume discount? Can we do something that,
We got this.
well, I'm sure we get a discount, but if we're using all of that, do we get a volume discount? Is there a government supplier that provides us with discounts that we can utilize through the state? Do we know all of that?
IPI, Iowa Prison Industries, will supply a lot of them, but I've been told that their, costs aren't necessarily competitive, and
No.
you'll spend more money through
That's true.
IPI rather than getting it through a commercial channel for essentially the same product.
And I believe all of our offices always watch the cost on how much we're spending at those certain places and see where we can get a better deal as well.
And then
We all do that.
would that create a storage and warehousing issue if we got it, if we had to get it all in a group thing, would it have to?
Yeah, I don't know if that would be an issue, to be honest with you. We've got space, if we better utilize it. We've got all
Like
kinds of space.
weird things is what I get from Bailey's, like, I needed a stapler that would, staple like that much. You can't buy one of them at Walmart. So
You
you
got
have to
one
go-
of your staplers, huh?
I do,
All right.
now,
Oh, we know where to go.
yeah. And, paper cutters, you can't get one of them at Walmart. I mean, just the weird things is what I get from Bailey's. And
A
you're
lot
not
of things at
going to-
Walmart you can't get anymore. You get selling it, cause
Well-
they know we're getting it somewhere else.
Okay, just a thought. Obviously, we had a lot of feedback from the ISAC team that said, hey, we can consolidate some of our purchases on large items like computers and those things. It seems like there's gotta be a better, more consolidated method at some point. So, we're at some point gonna be scratching for dollars and dimes as we look at reducing levies, unfortunately.
And we do
Something to think
that.
about long
We
term.
do that. Okay, so. Publications. We already used 500, we asked for 8. So I'm just asking. I'm gonna leave it at 6. And then I have 800.
You were gonna
I
keep
didn't
that the
do that,
same.
yeah, I added $400 to the 5,200 because of the postage and mailings. We do a lot.
Do we take that to the post office, or do we have one of those little
It's in
pay
Kelly's
postage
office.
things in your office? Okay.
And that was consolidated many years ago, right, Robin?
Mm-hmm.
So
Saved it.
everybody
Why in the heck
uses
would we
them.
consolidate that?
Cause we got one of them.
We got one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh,
Each office can go to the,
funny how that works for one, but not for everything, isn't it?
Well, that's one item versus
How many?
Isn't that the point? One item versus,
one mail, one postage versus staples, stapler, rubber, cement,
okay,
you know.
I'm listening. Okay, all right.
Education, I have, still all new staff. We still have to get our, training through our elections, which is April 1st. Our office will be closed for an election, for election training over in Atoma. but I raised that to 3,000.
Do all three of people go to that,
Yeah, they're all gonna go to that.
since they're all involved?
Nothing on telephone, education, again, I raised that to the 1,500, I raised it $700 because,
What is the difference between the two?
what do you mean?
Well, your $3,000, that's just meals and lodging, right?
Meals, lodging, and mileage,
Okay,
that's what it says there.
all right. And then this is just specifically for the training that you're gonna have over at some,
No,
per person?
no, that's, I mean, it's overtime per person.
No, I understand. Per person, okay.
Plus, I go to conferences and I use it out of that line item. It's consolidated. Next page.
And that first one is potentially gonna get consolidated with the IT. Has Gunnar had any more conversation with you?
What, this right here?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's had more conversations with me
I'm pulling
about.
up some costs, department to
Oh, we've been
department.
doing that all week, yeah.
Okay. But that's, the note I had here is, we had talked about that potentially getting moved to IT, office and data.
The
Processing.
equipment maintenance?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that, so I just left it the same.
But just so you put a note by it, so you, it may potentially move, you know, like printers, for example, those types of things, just in general. Anything that goes back to data processing should eventually get moved over to IT.
That postage on the first page, that's our House File 718 is. I have it written right there as well. That's for us to mail out to all entities of what our levies are gonna be.
You mean that confusing piece that goes on?
But I am gonna tell you this, he called me yesterday, and Master's Touch called me yesterday and said, you could eliminate some of that cost if you, now, we're talking about public too, because we mail that stuff out, and those people, when we mail it out this next time, I mean, it cost us quite a bit to mail that piece of material out that we're mandated to do.
Mhm.
He said that he's gonna sit down with me, I made a thing with him on Tuesday, that he's gonna show me what they're gonna plan on doing is put a little piece of paper in with the mail outs that you can opt out on getting mail, and you can look online immediately to see what those levy rates could possibly be for the public. And most people do like that, but I worry about the older folks that don't like, and what if these people don't have internet either, so they're hoping for a huge response that can turn around and eliminate that cost, possibly in half. So I have a meeting with him next Tuesday, he's gonna talk to me more about it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But
Probably
this
more on
year,
the
but this
demographic
year,
than
it
anything.
would stay that, because he would send a piece of paper in with that, with every one of them. And then they can opt in or opt out on not wanting to see it on there.
So Robin,
And he says it's at no cost to us.
we have e-statements as well, and I think the assessor uses e-statements also.
Yeah.
And, I don't think there's a big turnaround, at least from my point of view.
Right, and
I
that-
don't know about Nathan's.
This is the first I've heard of it, and
Yeah.
so on top of that, I said, are we still mandated for mail out, or can we do
If they
that?
sign up for the e-statements, then they don't get a paper statement.
Right,
But I wouldn't say the majority of ours sign up for the e-statements. They want paper.
I think that goes back to a demographic, right?
but I thought our code said that you had to mail out. And so we're gonna look into that on Tuesday, we'll find out more on Tuesday.
Because we use Master's Touch as a.
Yeah, I like Master's Touch. I've had a couple more
If you
reach
wanna
out
raise
to
the
me.
county farm budget,
They're very good.
the county farm.
Okay. I got enough living right now.
Nothing else has changed there, I kept everything else the same on that, in the general basic. Go down to your supplemental, we talked about our salaries there, and what we're going to do with Heidi.
Right.
And then the FICA IFRS will stay the same though.
So I'm just asking, once we get these little amendments and adjustments, will you burn these off again with the?
Yeah.
Okay, cause.
I will, and it'll be one, I need to know, and, you know, Jake's waiting for me to send back his stuff, which is I could probably send his back, but everybody else wants to know and make sure that their budgets are in line with what they've asked for,
Right.
or what you guys are
But
wanting to do.
I'm asking on the ones that we're working and maybe making these little tweaks and everything. I'm starting to get penciled up here where it's like, okay, was this one it, or if we can take the latest and print them off, so we got a relatively good, clean working copy.
I would agree with that, but it goes back to the salary thing. I think we need to use existing salaries rather than everybody's 4, 5, 7,
Adjust,
10.
yeah,
10%,
yeah,
so that
I would,
those are locked into today's salaries so that we can see
Yeah.
exactly where we're at.
But I asked you guys if you guys want me to plug in what people are asking for, and you guys said yes.
I don't recall that. and it
I was
doesn't
here
matter, but
that
if we
day,
could,
you were here,
Yeah,
and I said I'll plug in what people have asked.
pretty sure
So
I would
I
not
need
agree to that
know.
since the compensation board said
Did-
max of 10, and I'm adamant and consistent about saying, no, I do not agree with the 10%.
okay. Yeah, Robin, I guess if I ever conveyed that, I apologize for that if I did. I would rather work on the existing right now, that way we can kind of pencil in any adjustments upward, knowing that.
We have a deadline, and I gotta know what you guys wanna do with salaries, because everybody's, if you guys are gonna do something with salaries, great. If not, I need to know, because this is not my only job in my office. And I am gonna tell you this right now, that if you guys are gonna change those salaries, the FICA and IFRS have to change too. And it's not just a trip of a button.
Well, that's good to know, but again,
Well, I'm glad
we'll
you
make
know.
that decision.
Right. Also, so on page 3, it goes down to the election. Election supplies have gone up, so I added $1,500 to that line. Added 1,000 to the second line, which is the primary and general, because we do have publications that have to go to the papers. That could be lengthy. Next line, I left the same, the printing of ballots, because, again, this is general, the primary and general. So, again, we don't know what things have gone up. And some of the cost of, like, you're gonna probably say it again, but it'll come back up on the maintenance and the data processing. That is our election equipment.
Right.
Cause they come up right before the election to make sure things are working. And that's Atkins. Postage and mailing, I just, marked that up to $2,000 more. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes out. Be a lot of absentee ballots that go out this year. Next line, lodging, meals and stuff, again, that's another election training. It's usually not much, but we do have things there. It'd be a one-day thing where they go up to either Cedar Rapids or Ottumwa. Or possibly up to Des Moines for one day.
Okay.
Move that up to $100 more, from 500 to 600. Education and training also for election administration, that would probably be myself. Because, I could use partial of that when we do election training for the state, for myself.
Okay.
Left it at $400. Now, elections, administration, office, data, equipment maintenance, left that at, I raised it to 1,000 for 18. We had a problem with our printers the last time. $15,000 I have for the primary and general, and that's elected officials, or election, or,
Your
I'm sorry,
election.
precinct election
Yeah.
workers. We
You said
usually
that was
need
a-
a lot.
$12 an hour is what you pay them, right?
Well, we have a dead rate. We have a dead rate. If you're gonna work the election day, it's $200. If you come to the training, it's $230. So we have a dead rate. Voter registration, raise that $500 to $3,000. Then you have your local elections on the next page, on page 4. I kept those all the same. Again, that's the ones that you can't determine if you're gonna have a special or not. We don't have a city school this year, but we do have possibly a couple specials. And then there at the bottom, you're back in your general supplemental, which is, that's the partial salaries that have been taken out to go in this line item for the elections.
Right.
That's it.
Now the treasurer.
Huh?
Now the treasurer.
And the treasurer. She has her salary in there. That's divided out, the first line's divided out because the treasurer can do that. But it's not in the supplemental. It's also in the general.
I'll get there in a minute.
Looks like she kept everything same except for, she went, right there. Postage went up to 8,000 instead of 6,300. She dropped her mileage and lodging and meals to 1,000 instead of 1,500. The line below that, she did the same there.
Yeah, the only thing that pops up again are some of those items that we talked about, maybe consolidating under IT that we'll have to get with sooner than later. Just if we can do those yet this year, if you guys want to, or if we wait and put those into next year's budget, but we need to get a pretty good feel on what those dollars are, no matter what we do in the short term. So I think, looking at this marker, Chad, the only thing I would say is, let's take a look at those reward sheets that you're gonna redo for us and put those at the existing salaries. So that we can take a look at those general, because again, this is at 5%, yours was at 10%, there's some others, so we'll just get them all back to the current salary so that we're consistent, and we can make one general application when we're done. Because you were gonna put together a sheet for us like you did last year, right, that looks at the 3%, 5%, 10%. whatever raises.
Your filing cabinets and stools haven't fixed themselves yet or anything like that?
No, and the other day Nancy said that she goes, Kelly, my stool won't go back up anymore. So hers went down and she feels like she's in a high chair.
Kelly, going to your revenue sheet, are you feel pretty confident that adopting $50,000 in investments is about the right amount?
Because the interest rates are going back down, and I had the grove locked in for at least a little while, but it's at 3.5 is I paid. And 3.65 isn't a big difference, but
My contribution the other day didn't help.
no, that went to driver's license, that's state.
So these tears are still there.
Yeah.
Mark was just asking about this, Kelly, so, are our invested dollars going up, the amount that we're putting in, or is it staying consistent? Cause I know the interest rate's coming down, but if
Yeah,
we,
it just depends on how much people use out of them. I mean, you know, the general, I pay general, that's the money that goes in there to be apportioned out,
Right.
pretty much. So that's always gonna fluctuate, depending on if I move money to them versus the money that comes out to go to all the taxing districts. Your share forfeiture and your attorney forfeiture, those don't change much.
okay,
The money market ones, E911, that, like last month went down like 11 grand, so it just depends on how much they use out of it.
okay.
Opioid,
So you don't see
They
a
don't use much
significant
out of
change in
the opioid.
dollars though, by any means?
not a lot.
Okay. Bummer.
It's better than it was, Steve.
Alright, yeah, it's a good amount of money. No complaints, it's just, if we could offset it, it would help. But, good explanation the other day, so thank you.
Now to the attorney, with our new sheet, are we pretty well satisfied with that?
No, I don't think so. I think with this new situation, I think I'm in flux,
This is a new sheet.
yes. When I just
Because I
gave,
More than
explained
this,
what it was.
Now, I always label when I get things, so make sure I got the latest greatest. I just wanna make sure we're on the same page.
yeah, so the difference was down there on the third line, where he was talking about the salary of the deputies. We originally had a cost savings of $45,000, that's actually $34,433. Somehow we had gotten some numbers mixed up in the 25-26 budget. So what they'd actually spent was $118,000, but what they should have been looking at was $153,400. That would be the difference.
Got it.
So I think we need to understand a little bit about the situation at hand. Obviously, the county attorney's leaving, and from what we can see through Iowa code and the information we got from ISAC, whoever we appoint or elect is gonna assume that salary basically. But that may impact the assistant, one of the assistants, for example. Cause she's currently paid at 30 hours a week, right?
Paid on like an hourly basis for 30 hours. I think about the same rate there.
Same rate.
As the full-time deputy. Or full-time assistant, I think, so.
But that would impact this number.
So you're saying we should increase that, what, assistant to full-time then?
I think we need to crunch those numbers better to understand what that impact is gonna be, yes. Once we probably have a conversation here in the next day or two with the attorney and one of the assistants to understand the situation. And my understanding is Abby is gonna step in as a deputy by the email we got this morning,
Okay, I have not looked at the email.
in
this
place of
morning.
Darren when he leaves, so. We need to have a conversation to understand the flow here and how that's gonna impact the budget.
You said I know I had reached out to ISAC,
Yeah, I did as well.
okay.
And they gave us a pretty good explanation on what's going on. Paul gave us some feedback as well.
Yeah, I did get that, so. But yeah, I think that merits, good discussion.
Yeah, we got an email at 5:36 last evening from County Attorney Abby.
You know, I've reached out, to some of the law enforcement people to see if they have any concerns, issues, you know, things that I wanna keep in the back of my mind, moving forward too, just, cause essentially they work with law enforcement. So I think I wanna get their input on what's important to those agencies as well.
You're talking specifically about the attorney situation.
Yes.
So what do we do here, just,
I think we should put this one on hold until we have a conversation with those folks, unfortunately.
but we can look at all the other line items, I think
Oh, I think the
everything
left-
else is fine, just you're looking at the salaries, and that's all.
Correct.
Okay.
I think everything else fell in line.
On to the recorder, then.
Should be the sheriff.
Sheriff?
Yeah. Is he hiring a new deputy? Cause I don't know who left.
I thought they had an opening that.
Who left?
I
Who left?
thought there was an opening, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Listed.
See if you have concerns about what else is being spent, because it's totally pointless going through it if I have to go back and put salaries in as they are today. Or what was asked for last year, put in for today.
I personally would rather look at what a person is making right now.
Which is
to-
that, has that on
Okay, let
there.
me,
Yep, go ahead and speak.
what a person is making right now, so I know as a gauge on where we would like to have that person at, you know. So if we start off with what they're doing right now, I think would be beneficial to me, anyway.
I would agree, because again, every one of these is different. From a salary perspective.
You know, there's 10% added, there's 5% added, you know.
So if that's the case, we should just drop anything that would have to do with FICA, person salaries,
Yeah,
and look at any other
because-
line items and then continue on.
That's fine, we can do that as well, but it's up to whatever Chad wants to do there.
Well, I mean, if I'm looking at this wrong, please help me, but I would rather look at what the expenditure is right now and then judge what we would like it to be moving forward versus looking at something that is already figured in. Maybe it's just not registering in my head. I mean, if that's the case, please tell me.
No, I'm in agreement with you,
It's
because
right
right now
here.
it varies
It's
by
also right
department.
here on your guys' budget sheets of what it was before.
Well, it is, but then the totals don't add up to what's proposed for this year.
What do you want me to do?
If you can print out the actual live numbers right now, what they're making right now, that would be helpful for me.
Don't you have that sheet?
Robin, we do.
That one.
But when
I'm
you add
asking
those
you
totals
questions.
up, yeah, we do, but when you add those totals up for 26, 27, they're not gonna be correct then to what we're talking about right now, because every one of these has a different salary proposal.
Okay.
You're at 10%, Kelly's at 5, I don't know where, I guess where Katie is. You're at 7, 5.
Well,
Kitty's
yeah,
at 5.
We're at 5.
Just for cost of living,
Okay,
yeah.
so everybody's different to Chad's point, so the totals don't add up, so it's gonna be significantly different.
I'll work with, I mean, Mark,
I got shit to do.
what's your thoughts here?
I understand what you're saying, but for what we're doing here today, if you're gonna change all those things, we need to go through here first and eliminate salaries, FICA and IPERS, if you want this other. Look at any other changes that have been presented to us, and then, we just need to go back and,
Then plug in the salaries and FICA and IPERS.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to be changed anyway. You get some at 4, some at 5, some at 7, some at 10, they're gonna get changed
so
no
if
matter
you
what.
put
So
them all back at zero,
if we look at everything else, and we're consistent, we
And
can
then-
figure out where we are from a money perspective.
and then we would know, and we could make the changes ourselves at whatever percentage we would want. That wouldn't be too hard for us.
That's fine.
Can
We
I
can do
make one suggestion?
We have a sheet that was,
So
From
I've
last year.
talked to some other county conservation department staff across the state, especially here last week at the Winterfest conference. So, obviously budget was the main discussion, for that. So they were kinda asking me what I was putting for, cost of living. So, and I just told them that we were still kinda uncertain at that point. And I'm gonna use Louisa County. I'm pretty good friends with that director up there. He's fairly new. Within the last 2 years, he's been hired, but he's really good at spreadsheets. So he ended up coming up with a couple different options, like a 3%, a 5%, yada yada yada. So he gave that to the supervisors to kind of get them an idea, what they're making right now. With a 3% cost of living, and then obviously, the performance raise. So that's kind of what I tried to do with my, separate spreadsheet that I gave you guys. But that might be something, and I've talked to some other department heads, and it seems like there was really no communication. Everybody is across the board when it comes to, percentages. That might be something we can consider moving forward, just, we come up, all the department heads agree, do a 3%, 5%, whatever, and that's what department heads need to go by, and then depending on, the levy and what you guys feel that you can, distribute out to the departments, be like, okay, this is unrealistic, we can shoot for a 2 to 3%. It's an idea, I don't know, but I heard that quite a bit from different counties across the state of Iowa last week, so.
and I've talked to several counties as well. Des Moines County has given 0 for this coming year.
Yep.
So Lee County's still thinking about theirs. I know Jefferson County was talking about 0%. Washington, we know is at 0, right? So I think we need to keep that in perspective. But to answer your other question, 5% is not the cost of living increase.
Yes, yes.
2.55 is the
Yeah.
CPI that Paul
Yeah.
provided to us.
Yep.
And I
And
think I said that at least 3
yesterday,
times.
that was given different as well.
What was it yesterday?
2.49.
4.9.
Yeah.
Okay, 2.55 was the average for 3 months. Okay, 2.49 is with the last month. So they're consistent, it's just a matter of how you put the numbers together. Right, okay. Just so we're all in sync here.
Yeah.
Can I,
Comment?
I think, the only thing I would, I mean, just as we're dealing with the difficulty of different budgets, the road department budget, the way we look at salary and stuff, there's different items, so it's not as easy for me to, pull out and say, okay, salaries are pulled out completely separate because it's all based on where they're being charged to with their time. So I put in a number and base that off of that, but like, if we're gonna be talking like November, getting that number from Paul, like my recommendation would be is get a letter from him, because that number has changed a couple times here. And if that would be the baseline going forward, is like, hey, when we do our budgets, whatever this is, COL, everyone needs to base their budget off of that. Then if you decide that you can't handle that, or you have room for different or whatever we want, that would give us, and you would have a static number all the way across that's based on that CPI. So I mean, obviously that's going backwards, but I think that would help us. If you say those compensation tables are what we're trying to work off of, whatever they move, once that number's there, that's what we present to you guys, and then you all know that that's what it is. And then if public health has something different, or the road department has a different that they want to do for a person because of the reviews, we could pull that off and show that as a separate thing that's out of the budget, saying, if there is room, I have X that I would like to do for my staff. But because that's a conundrum right now, is that you're running is everybody has different things they want to do. Well, if we all have the same baseline to start with, and then let's say the road department, I had 3 staff members that, based on reviews, did awesome and said, if there is anything to do, this is what it's going to cost to do this extra. That would be completely separate, but you would see a dollar amount that would come. Does that make sense?
It does, but with the new compensation model that we're working with, salary raises, hourly wages come back to the supervisors and elected officials to determine what that is, given the lump sum dollar that they're able to manage.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I think though, if you're wanting us to give you a number, like, okay, what does this look like? And then when you're looking at the roads budget, like, what's that increase? I mean, if you want additional information from secondary roads, I can provide that, but I need time. Like, that would be like next year. If you guys are saying, like, if we do whatever the cost of living is, how much extra is that gonna cost the overall road department, or where does that get dissolved into different fund items? But
Yeah, and to your point, obviously this is the first year into this whole compensation level, so it's gonna be a little opportunity to learn and grow here. And the conversation about 2.49, 2.5 is pretty minimal when you talk about 0.06% in a change here, so again.
Well, I wasn't indicating that it was gonna be significant, I was just stating
We need-
that's what was given yesterday.
Yeah, but to Chad's point, we need to get consistent, so we need to work with Paul a little closer. We had a little gap, obviously, with November of this past year because there weren't no numbers available, and that's why he gave us 3 months, and that's where the average came to, but, using what he gives us at 2.49 is fine,
But Jake, I would also agree with you, I think the sooner we can get some data put in that everybody can work with, not just us, but everybody can work with, I would see the benefit in that.
Okay. We're on the sheriff? Is that correct?
He's on my
Okay.
list right here.
And he has 5 deputies coming out of basic, is that right? Rural basic?
Correct.
And indicated by badge numbers, there's who those are, what deputies are out. again, we're not talking huge amounts of money, but I was looking at, expenses on taser cartridges, one month, and it's like, wow. I'm not sure if they gotta be disposed of after a certain time period, or if they renew and gotta, you know, but it seemed like $1,700 for tasers, I didn't think we were using tasers a whole lot, you know, but I don't know if those things gotta be
And we rotated.
rotated out, you know, after so long, so. And ammo, the price of ammunition is unreal, and there's required training for that, so I can see the ammo prices and things like that. They haven't changed this year, but last year they went up 1,000, but we're not talking in the big scheme of things. Again, small percentage.
Did you guys see anything significant in there?
You know, vehicles, that's kind of self-explanatory. He said, for yesterday or day before, that right after our last discussion on talks, the transmission went out, of a vehicle, so it was $4,500 or $4,700 to repair that, you know. Doing some of the IT stuff and out there, that's gonna be,
Hopefully we'll consolidate that to IT with Gunner at some point
yeah.
in the near future. And those are pretty significant dollars.
Robin, FICA for law enforcement, a protected class, what is that percentage?
It's $7.65 like everybody else's.
7.65. And then what is IPERS on law enforcement protected class?
It's a different, protective class is 9.0185 for the protective.
Yeah.
But for deputies, it's 12 point,
For the sworn officers, no protected class.
I have it right here. We just discussed it this morning. Did you guys write it down?
I did not.
$12.085 for the deputies. Regular employees, protective class is basically the jail for the 9.018. All the regular is 9.44% for IPERS,
9.44.
for regular members. which are all figured in there.
And Steve, the 5 deputies then in the rural basic,
236,712, right?
yeah.
Does that go up though, if you guys don't know who the deputy is?
That's
Not in the rule, but you always have 5 in the rule,
good question.
cause he already has listed on what badges are in the general basic.
Was that Tyler Ruby's position that
He was a jailer last time I knew. I don't know if he moved up.
he had went through the hiring process and was gonna be the deputy, and then that didn't work out, so he went back to the jail. So I think that's
I have
probably
no idea
filling
that.
that position. So I don't think there's a new onboarding, I think it's filling the position that,
It's available, it's posted out on the board up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought I saw it, yeah. Okay. What else you got, Chad, on that?
some of the commentary, that inmate commentary, are there stipulations what that incoming revenue stream can be used for?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that exactly would be.
I know he talked about all of that.
That, I mean, is a potential, I think we ought to look at that, I mean, if that could be helped out even on, I don't know the possibilities of using that on principal payoff of the jail, you know,
You're talking over
at
here
some
on
point, or,
the revenue side, right?
yeah. Or the, yeah.
I wrote down when he presented can be used for anything as a betterment / improvement of county jail.
You know, I'm wondering if that could be utilized for principal payment to go towards the principal, all that. I mean, you gotta maintain a fund there for the commissary in-house, but. I know there's real strict limitations on the opioid things, so. And you'd have better understanding of that.
I'm not under control of those funds, but Jesse,
You sit on that.
I
group meeting,
do, but
don't
we
you?
don't meet very often.
I know there's real tight stipulations on that.
He has sent me the contract, there's very certain things that you can use those dollars on, so it's not just whatever project sounds good at the time.
Exactly.
Mhm.
More as an education, treatment type of thing to curb the use of the opioid. It can be used in investigative purposes and incarceration things and things like that, I don't believe.
I don't wanna speak to that, cause I'm not sure.
I feel pretty certain about that, anyway.
sheriff's revenue. We see the revenue, and he lists out what we're bringing in for outside prisoners. Do we see an expense on that anywhere?
Well, included in our full report, not broken out.
That revenue coming in also encompasses the commissary profits out of that. But like Mark said, I don't think that's broke down into,
It's a
you know,
small,
what the expenses of maintaining those inmates in there.
What's the fund start with? Is it 0,000? It's going in general basic. Isn't it? What's this
Everything
on the
right now.
expense line? Or the revenue line? Is it 1,000?
Yes.
it's general basic.
But again, it would be good to see what the expenses are, so we know if the revenues exceed the expenses, that would tell us a little bit more about the situation.
Yeah, it would.
So you can ask him for that,
I will, yeah.
yeah,
We've had some
general
conversation on
basic, it's all general basic for you.
I feel pretty certain that it does overcome the expense, but by how much, I don't know.
that. Yeah. Well, it goes back to what you said, if we're making money, then we can pay, because Northland is gonna give us a payment schedule on the bond this year, because we're at that cap, we're at that time limit. So they're gonna provide us a payment schedule to see if we can pay that off early. But it'd be good to know where we're at, so if we do have excess funds there, hopefully we could use them. See how that comes out, but it would sure make a difference in that bond.
You have to get that paid off, you know. On your home mortgage, they say if you make an extra payment a year, you save pretty substantial amounts, so.
Yeah.
I only show on this salary sheet that there's 11 deputies, but on here he's showing 13.
Does that include the RSO?
I would assume so, because he's also getting paid out of the road. Which is, there's 5 deputies in the rural fund.
How did you say? 11?
I show 11 on the sheet, that you can count on your sheet too,
But yeah, when you breaks down his numbers, it
but when
comes up
it's
to-
on here, it's 13.
Yeah, Eaton.
My list does not include Chad Doe.
Unless Chad Doak is a part of that. That'd be 12, he has 13.
And he would be, I mean, the sheriff would maybe be the 13th person, I don't know.
No, cause it's not listed on that salary line. The sheriff is on his
Just
own
deputies,
salary
yeah.
line.
And I think that open position would be the 13th.
Who left that?
We
We
can
need
ask,
to know who left.
cause he has 8 deputies that are in rural basic and then 5 that are out
General basic, 8.
of, yeah, and then 5 that
Rural.
are out of rural. Okay, I'll ask. I'll follow up.
You ask him if Ruby would not be the 13th. I think you'll find that, so.
was just figuring some things here. When he breaking down the revenue on inmates.
Oh, right.
You know, breaking that down, in my mind, that would involve food, jail uniforms, laundry, a percentage of the salary staffing,
He has that listed.
but for the outside inmates, what the actual benefit cost. I know you don't know that, but
No, I don't.
Medication, therapy.
my chicken scratches here show 5% salary figure on that, theirs too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Didn't he say the stay rate in the jail just increased too? Didn't they increase that?
65, yeah.
Yeah, 65. I think that went up $10 a day or something like that, wasn't it?
We're done with the sheriff, are we moving on to, planning and zoning? I'm asking.
Chad, you caught up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just being quiet, letting everybody study it a little bit. Who'd you wanna do next?
Planning and zoning?
That one looked pretty clear. There were only a couple of concerns, obviously, on the wage increase. He's got himself down at a 9.6% increase. So we wanna move that back to consistent with the others at today's salary of $88,357. And then, on page 2, we're gonna look at that software expense at $5,700 and see if we can consolidate those with IT. So we're at Department 06, planning and zoning, right?
He's asking for that extra because of the fact that he does the 911. And when he said he talked to you, he said he was talking about the service, not his wage. That's what he said. He said if he was gonna continue doing the 911 service, he would ask for that wage.
Well,
That's what I got from him after that day, after we talked about it, 'cause he said for Joe, no more.
okay, we had him in here, he was given the opportunity to talk. It was thought that it needed to go to a different setting before discussion. I asked him if he wanted to bring that up. He talked about it a little bit, and he said he does not want anything more. He won't propose anything more of getting any of the 911
Okay,
funding.
okay. Cause I talked to him the other day and that's not what I got from him.
Well,
I'm telling you.
I'm just saying too, I'm just saying what
And as far as what you said.
he and
about-
I's conversation, he was not gonna, because we had talked about how many hours were actually involved to do that type of work.
Yeah.
That he was wanting the 6,000 additional dollars, for, and, you know,
Plus, this is in his job description today, so. And he created the job description.
It is or it isn't?
It is. He wrote the job
Is
description. It
he-
was
I asked
approved
him.
in September of
and he
24.
wrote that job description, I think, in 24, I believe.
I'm just telling you the conversation I had with him after.
Well, we can have that conversation because he reports to the board of supervisors, but
Well, yeah.
his salary increase is 0 at this point, so we can have that apples to apples comparison with everyone else. Mark, anything on that?
No.
I think everything is,
We moved some IT stuff, and that was it.
yeah, $700 worth of IT. Did you add anything else on the P and Z?
No.
Okay. Recorder is next, right?
I had nothing on her.
She was calculating 10% figures there.
Yeah, and we just need to reset that.
You can discuss that.
Chad, anything from your perspective on that one? With
No.
recorder?
Just, I just wanted to note that the proposal included the 10%.
Yeah, and it also includes the salary, a reduction in the salary with one person leaving, so that's
Which he
That's a
won't
good-
replace.
good. I think the one thing that we need to understand on those is how that all works, Robin, when we talk about last day in office versus payout versus how long insurance carries over. So that we're not, we have to be responsible for some insurance if there's a buyout or if she's taking the option for the leave. So we need to know what that cost is and make sure it's incorporated in what she's done, paperwork wise. Are we covering her for insurance?
Yeah, because that's what, retirement for the 3 years or age 65, which is his
Okay.
first.
But for how long?
For
Does that come out?
$23,000, or 23,300 right now, as of now.
Okay.
That's not with the 3% that's added to that.
Okay.
But it is also in our Department 99 that states that it's a retirement line item for insurance.
So it doesn't come out of the department?
No, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Okay, just as long as we can all see those dollars and understand where they're tied to.
Would it come out of 99, would it come out of supplemental?
No,
99, okay.
I think it's in,
It's okay, it's all right.
I'm just gonna look at it real quick, cause I'd rather tell you. You guys go ahead and I'll just pull it out and tell you where it's at.
Next one, veterans paragraph.
Yep.
That one, they didn't give an increase in salary, but we need to be adding a lot more in that one with the additional staff. It's a possibility next year, if they want somebody new and having two in the office until all training is taken care of and requirements to become a certified service officer?
It's out of supplemental, I'm sorry, let me go back here.
No,
It is out of
I
supplemental,
thought
but it's
so.
in Department 99 for the retirement fund. And it was, we're dead on that. People are dropping off because of the fact they're either, their spouse turned 65, so it dropped it down to a single, they got one more year left, or they are turning 65 and they're done.
So, to my other question then, do we know how much money is actually tied to that Department 99 account?
Right now, it's budgeted at 195,000.
95,000.
I kinda wanna leave it the same, cause I know of a couple of employees that have dropped off.
Okay.
You know, back to Veterans Affairs, that proposal on Roger's salary was calculated at 5%.
Yes.
But yeah, there was that discussion and talk about what Mark said, bringing somebody on board to do that cross training and get certified for the federal programming, I guess. I don't know what better to say on that.
Well, they have to be a certified officer
Yeah.
to get the money that we get from them.
To get into that realm so they can get everybody signed up and be certified for that money.
And he also has a part-time wage of 2,700 there, just to try to train somebody for that position.
I don't think that's enough.
No, I don't either. Usually our part-time usually has 5,000 just for the part-time over the time, but I don't know how long.
You know, mileage and meals is kinda higher than what everybody else typically is. There's always a state car, for the time being anyway, there's a state car available if you want to utilize that. But that state car might go away too. We kinda talked about that.
He goes everywhere. I mean, he's in Burlington, he's in, Des Moines County, he's in Jefferson.
But I'm
County,
saying
everywhere.
rather than drive his own vehicle, there would be a county vehicle available for him at present, but that might be changing too. So. Yeah, I know he travels all over.
Did you look at the average on others? What is it? You said it was higher.
Well,
It's not, it's just
I don't have
the same.
figures, but yeah, it stood out to me as being higher than.
Getting back to what Mark was saying just a few minutes ago, do we have any indication on when he's
No,
planning to retire?
no,
He hasn't given you any idea
why
of
don't
that?
you talk to his board?
This board did come in.
So that's
They
something that
asked
you
us
need to ask
to
the board.
increase that for the wages and also the training expense that would be required. I would think that we would have to have at least half of Roger's salary and then increase the, training considerably, didn't they say? Multiple thousands of dollars on that?
You know, I think that's an important service, and I just wanna reiterate that, his work on county residents, alone are at $751,000 in the month of December 25. That was an influx of money into the county residents. That does not include the assistance that given to the neighboring counties, people from out of state even come in here. I would like to know what the ranking, where we are as a ranking in the state. One of the state senators was gonna give that information to me, but I have not seen that at this point in
I give
time.
you his ISAC.
We're at 40. Henry County is at position 40 with the 35
Is it
in
at 40?
population. Yeah, we ranked 40th.
But what the senator was talking up there at ISAC, there's a ranking that I don't think ISAC tracks as far as the availability of funds.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're at 40th for salary. Availability of funds, we're much
Yeah.
higher, we're in the top 10.
Yeah, the availability of
Senator Wright.
benefits to
Right.
county residents in relation to what is actually being received.
Actually, I think we're like number 8, yeah.
He had said that there was only a handful that were even in the top 10
Right.
in the state of Iowa. So the general purview of it was every county could do have more income if they had applicants, if they had the workers to do that.
Or if they had another Roger.
Well, I'm sorry.
If they had another Roger.
Yeah, exactly. Roger's doing a fine job. I mean, he's doing an excellent job. You know, and I think the governor has made a press to have every county have a full-time service officer working in that realm, so.
So what are we making here, guys? We're just spinning our wheels.
We're at 59,000.
So what do we add to a part-time person that would be coming on board and learning that what the requirements of that office would be and the training expense? I would think we would need to add $30,000 for wages and also probably another 7,500 for training expenses, cause there'll be a lot of that.
So the second line you're saying should be $30,000.
Additional 30,000, so make it 32,000.
I think it depends on when he retires.
It is, we don't know,
We don't know.
but we do not need we can't have a gap.
Is it realistic to think of a whole half year
That's what I'm thinking of.
to do that?
Because, when Jim came in, he said, we take that long, half a year.
And I don't know.
Because we don't know when the trainings are too, that's part of the problem.
And so what did you say for education and training, how much?
I'd say 32,000.
Well, you said
Oh, for
that's
the
wages,
education?
but- Yeah, education and training.
I would think you'd need to add, at least $7,500 to that.
So
It's a pure guess, but that's what
8,500.
I'm trying to,
Yeah.
what I tried to understand from what Jim said.
Okay, I didn't catch all that conversation, so I trust your judgment on that.
Might be wrong, but that's what I gathered.
Okay.
It's not like an everyday training is available on it. I mean, there would be job shadowing and working alongside mentorship type thing every day. But there's certain trainings that would not be available every day, every week, whatever.
Okay.
We increased the, temporary to 32,000 and education and training to 8,500.
So, I'm sorry, the part-time wages to 32,000? And the training,
Down about 4 lines there, Roger. On the front page down, it's right now it's 1,000.
to what?
8,500. And I think it's just really important that everybody understands that job, that position brings in over $9 million a year to the county. Pretty significant dollars.
Yep.
And they turn over at least 3 or 4 times within the county, so it's a pretty significant impact.
And I think statistical numbers of veterans are increasing with the younger generation of soldiers for, the Middle East wars, all that thing. There's gonna be an influx of those soldiers coming on board too, so.
What's next, health?
Actually, we skipped over the care
Oh,
of indigent.
relief care and,
What number is that?
Administrator. She
19.
has, Katie has department 19. And,
19?
yes. Katie takes care of that.
Must be in her packet. Yes.
On that one, I know that, we added, Brooke McCarter to the, homeless. And I know that they've had meetings and we'll be working with Kelly Carr, she told me a little bit on a few things.
Has Brooke been in touch with you this week?
Not this week, that was last week I talked to her.
Okay, so they have met this week and they need to talk to you about what they want to do with that board.
I
Apparent-
knew that, yeah.
Okay, apparently it was connected to some grant that they previously had through
Correct.
community action.
Mhm.
So they were in discussion, and I did not attend that meeting, but they were in discussion about whether to keep that on as a board or if they wanted to change it to more of a coalition or a task force.
Okay, so that's sort of, we don't know yet.
We're not sure yet because it sounded like when they met, they weren't sure if they were going to make the board active or if they were going to seek out any type of funding. They saw themselves as more of an advisory council than like a board that's gonna carry on functions.
Okay.
So I would get back with Brooke on that. And there was a meeting on Tuesday. We touched, and that was through Healthy Henry County Communities. That's the coalition that Kelly leads. Robin was there. We did touch on a lot of service for unhoused people. But as of right now, there's no funding or services available in Henry County for that. There was a lot of good information. Ken Brown was there, and gave us his input from the fellowship cup. But I would encourage you to talk to Brooke before any decisions are made there.
And I think we need to continue to look at what we wanna give as a poverty level percentage.
Are you talking about the federal poverty guidelines? Those were just updated, so our last update on the general assistance policy was in March. I am planning to present a new updated policy. We obviously will have to change the information within it based on the federal poverty guidelines. We currently pay 50%. So that will need to be updated, and there are a few other items in there that I think need to be reviewed.
Do you know, just off the top of your head, 50% of the poverty level, when we talk about it nationally, does that resemble what we see here in Henry County?
It's the federal, so it's just federal poverty guidelines. It's not
Do they
what
have a
we see
guideline
in our
from a
county.
national level as compared to the local levels?
So if you look at our county snapshot from IHHS, we have, I think it's just over 11% that are considered in poverty, which would be at that poverty guideline. We are paying 50% of that though. So whatever the poverty guideline is,
They're paying half.
cut it in half.
So like a single person would be about, $1,100 a month in the federal level.
On the federal level,
Right
yeah.
at that way.
Yeah, because ours, I can pull the policy up if you want. We changed our numbers on our forms to reflect that, but our previous, before they changed the federal poverty guideline this year, was a single person in order to, their income limit in order to qualify for general assistance had to be less than $652 per month. And our current budget says they have to be working full-time. They also, that income limit from what's in our policy says that includes any food assistance benefits. If they're on social security or social security disability, they do not qualify. Most of the time, what they would be making on social security or social security disability is over that limit anyway. Any child support, alimony, any of that is factored in as income. And then they also have to have no assets. So any liquid assets over $1,000 would disqualify them. So it's restrictive. It's not like just anybody can, there's very few people that do qualify. Like we had 16 calls last month. One person filled out an application, but they were all ineligible. So we've given out 1 rental assistance since July. We've given out 1 direct cremation since July. What we're asking for tax levy though is, and I think you guys need to look at this, because what we are asking for taxpayers is $23,000 in the last year. And most of that last year wasn't used. So either you need to change the policy so it can be used, or is that something where you're not asking taxpayers to put this money into a fund that's not being used and then going back into the general fund? And that's up to you all, that's not up to me, but I'm just saying, you know, if you have all that money unused, why are we asking for it? Or could we be helping people? It was a long answer, I'm sorry.
No, it was the correct answer. So for budgeting, we could leave it the same, and we'd have to look at our policy, and we have plenty of room for growth on our policy.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things would tie into what we do when Katie talks to us about that in the near future is look at what average rents are in this community, and then what average monthly utility bills are, so we can have a better, more informed database to make a change if that's what's required to utilize the dollars.
The rent and the utility wouldn't really factor in because it does make a difference,
It does make a
but you
difference.
still have to qualify for it.
No, I understand.
So even if your rent is low, if your income is such, I think it would make more sense to look at what's a living wage in Henry County and what are jobs paying, what's an average salary.
And we pull that out of the website, right? So we can get that pretty quickly. But I think it goes back to what you were talking about though. If we're gonna cap that at $200 a month on utilities, for example, if we qualify, and I don't know how many people fall into that category. No one?
Very few.
Okay. Well, that answers that question.
So if you raise it, that's what I'm saying, like, if you raise what you're going to pay out in utilities, that doesn't matter, because if you don't
Right.
qualify for it, you're not gonna get that funding anyway. So, or is it something where we take some of that funding and help some of the services around town, like community action, that does have different policies, you know, at Fellowship Cup, they have their own funding source, so they are private funds, they're not, you know, anything governmental where they have to worry about what's gonna happen with that budget year to year. So he has a lot more flexibility in who he can help than what we do. We are supposed to be, general assistance is the payer of last resort though. So we're not supposed to, you know, be here just to help everyone, but there are a lot of the people that do call us are truly in need and they are working, they just can't make ends meet.
But to your point, if we're not using it, we should be doing something different
Right.
rather than just putting it back
Rather
in.
than just levying for those dollars and not using them. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
Do you have any idea of a percentage of increase of the poverty level going from 50% to what would have qualified any of those people?
I don't, if you go to 75 though, there's still not a lot of folks that will qualify for it.
I was just curious, out of however long you've been in charge, if there would have
Since
been.
July, yeah.
So would there have been 5, or I'm just
Right.
curious,
No,
you know,
I
would have,
understand.
yeah.
It's a really good question. It really is, but, I mean, when we looked at it too, we break down an hourly wage, so $652 a month. You're either going to be paid under the table or your employer's gonna be in trouble because they're not paying you the
Minimum
It's
wage,
not
yeah.
even close, it's like $3 and some change an hour, so.
Is there anything in there to factor in how many hours of free time those people have versus maybe going out for another part-time job or something like that? Because I've been one of those people have to work a part-time job in addition to my normal job to keep the funds flowing and everything like that.
I see
I always
where
think of
you're
that.
going with that, but if you're working 2 part-time jobs that pay nobody pays minimum wage anymore. You can't live on minimum wage. It's $7.25 an hour, right? And it hasn't changed in years. If you're still working a job that pays you only $11 or $12 an hour, even if you work all of those extra hours, you're still not going to be able to make enough to cover your living expenses. So.
And then something I think about, when I was going to school, I had to flip hamburgers at a 24/7 McDonald's for a while. Was that glorious, glamorous work? No, it sure was not. But it kept me off of being a recipient of aid. I was able-bodied, I was able to go do that. That is my expectation. I want people that are able-bodied to be able to go do things that will benefit themselves.
Right. And that's our requirements in
I
here.
am not against helping people that are
Right.
truly in need of help. That's
Right.
not the case at all, but I want people to help,
And-
and that's a discussion for another day.
Right, we aren't
Really,
gonna
but
solve that problem here, but it is required in our policy, and I don't think that should change, that you have to be working full-time, all the members in the house have to be contributing, all the members who are over 18 need to be contributing. So even if they have, adult kids living at home, their income factors into that too.
Is there other qualifications in the policy that could change? Because it seems like some of them make it kind of mutually exclusive. So is there like a couple of things? Do you have any proposals on that?
I don't, the only way you could change it is if you are increasing what we're paying for the federal poverty guideline, so.
Does Veterans Fair Board of Health? Health Board? 23? I didn't have any questions on hers.
The only 2 big changes that I had were obviously the salary for staff, and then I did reduce our vaccine budget. We are seeing trends that we're not giving as many vaccines over the next 5 years, and there's some legislation that has been proposed that I think will further decrease our vaccination rates.
Eligibility elsewhere, or, will people be able to get those vaccinations other places covered, or?
I don't know. There's
Good
a lot of
question.
things
Good
up in the
question.
air in the public health realm right now, so the legislation that passed subcommittee and committee this week was to eliminate vaccine requirements for schools. So I imagine that will adversely affect how many people are receiving vaccines.
And
We've seen a double in the last 5 years for religious exemptions.
You were talking about measles in South Carolina being a hotbed right now, and I'd rather spend $5 to keep it away than $50 to treat it.
Correct, thank you for recognizing that. We were just, ICFA has been getting together our numbers as far as counties, how much we are spending on disease investigation, which is one of those unfunded mandates that you all are so fond of. And for us in the last calendar year, it was about $15,000 that we spent on unfunded mandates. So, obviously, we're a small county, but.
Like your penmanship, you're easy to read.
So if anybody's interested in a conversation that we're having, there's just kind of some demographics on the community. That's specific to Mount Pleasant, it's not Henry County. So then to Mark's point here on Department 23, the only thing that we need to take a look at are the salaries, because that says a 5% increase across the board. Can you look at yours, or look at Department 23, does that incorporate environmental health?
No,
Okay, that's
environmental
separate.
health has their
Oh,
own,
but-
yep, and Bruce takes care of that. He usually presents at Board of Health early in the year, so
Mhm.
I can check with him on that.
Okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Because obviously we have an expense for them for what they do on a yearly basis with contracting and whatever else they do from. You know, so thanks and all of the other stuff that ties to that. Okay. Should I mark anything else?
Nope.
On 23 or 60?
Nope. We're at
Right,
human
yes.
services, and then,
Yeah, which one? Human services?
that's,
Okay.
I mean, there's
They
nothing,
turn in their
nothing we
own-
really can
their
do
own.
about that, or
They turn in
district
their
court,
own.
next two.
Not much to do on county farms either, is it?
Well, then next to the county library, we already have that discussion.
We have a little bit more to go, finding out whether or not Hillsboro's gonna close.
I got word from Kelly Patterson, the librarian in Salem, that they are closed. She called,
Hillsboro.
yes.
Hillsborough
But
is
she's
closed.
taking up Hillsborough people at their library
In Salem.
in Salem.
So our question is, do we divide it out between the others, or just give it all to Salem, or just eliminate it?
With the bare minimum, I would prefer that we separate it up amongst the others, but I think that Kelly had some more conversation she was gonna provide for, well, conversation with the other three,
She tried.
So what we're saying then, Steve, is leave it as is
and just reallocate
and
it.
reallocate it some way.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
And how you guys gonna reallocate it though? Cause if I'm putting stuff back in the system. Be a good time to decide. So I can figure out the numbers I need to put back in the system.
Pretty certain the Hillsborough people down there probably aren't going to Winfield to,
Yeah, but are
to
they-
use the library service.
Are they stopping at Walmart here in town, then going to the library here? I mean, how do you know?
I'm not saying they're not using Mount Pleasant, but you know, Salem, Mount Pleasant would probably be the logical people or places that Hillsborough area residents would be using a library. You know, there's probably an exception to that, I'm sure, but
Where do Hillsboro kids go to school?
It depends. They go to Salem or they can go to Van Buren.
That's what I thought, mostly, yeah. To Harmony.
Van Buren, yeah.
So,
It's in the Van Buren County.
where do you, okay, to reallocate, you know, I would say give it to Salem, if you want a decision today, but, let Mark and Chad have their input. Cause that does bump them up significantly.
The only thing I'm saying is if you give it to Salem, you're higher than,
Winfield or,
or New London.
Maybe I'm wrong in my thinking again, that wouldn't be the first time, but, again, I'm wondering, a Hillsborough area person that would normally patronize the library down there, in reality, are they going to New London? In reality, are they going to Winfield?
No,
Are they going to Wayland? Would they more likely be going to Mount Pleasant? Would they be more likely than anything going to Salem? In my understanding, or my thoughts, it probably would be. I think,
I would divide it between Salem and Mount Pleasant.
I personally would as well.
Divide it in half. We're close enough.
I was just looking for those numbers that she gave us, I think those numbers would say that, yeah, here it is right here.
$3,455 is what I.
1727.50 would be.
I mean, Salem would get $6,215.50. If my Casio did it right here.
You have to be around some.
$15,539.50 would be Mount Pleasant's total in.
Is there a certain amount you have to give to all the libraries? I mean, it's not like you had so much for Hillsborough, we just can't reabsorb that, we have to use all of this everywhere.
I guess years back, the library, there was a board that discussed the contributions that were given out as a whole, how that was to be divided
A
out.
one lump sum.
How that was to be divided out amongst the area libraries. Or, you know, if it would be more fair to, the world's not fair.
Mount Pleasant would be 15,540, and Salem would be 6,260.
It's a pretty significant increase for the same.
About a 10-10, 35-35. You're including everybody that way.
You know, we could divide that out into whatever the percentage portion, the original allocations were given. I mean, that would be in the same ratio as what they got their amount to. I wouldn't be opposed at that, you know. You want me to, I can poke the fingers in or whatever.
Do you want it spread out, or do you want it divided?
Guys, what's your,
I would prefer to see us go with the 50-50 between Mount Pleasant and Salem, because those kids either going to Salem to grade school, or they're going to Mount Pleasant, to your point earlier. And when you look at the numbers that Kelly had provided for us, you got a 52% increase in checkouts in Salem, you got a 76% increase in computer usage, so those kids are gonna be one place or the other, so I think it benefits that community to be able to keep the library close and also fund it accordingly so that they have the amount of money they need to run. Those are pretty significant numbers. And to your point, they're not going to Winfield or New London.
I'm good with either that approach or a original percentage of what the overall figure was divided out in percentage wise, divided that way too. So whatever, we come to a conclusion, an agreement here, let's.
My vote's for the 50-50. I'd like to keep it in the communities.
Salem will, excuse me, will get the brunt of it. I'm sure. And, if we do it that way, they get more than Winfield. I don't know if compared to usage, I have no idea on that. But we know that if they're coming to Mount Pleasant School System, then the Mount Pleasant Library will be getting usage. So, at this time, I would go for the 50-50, but I would still like to have Kelly's input from what their group would come up with, and they were supposed to meet.
She tried getting in touch with them, she tried calling every one of them, and nobody had responded to her.
Oh, really? Okay.
I talked to her in person.
Yeah, and I
And
did
you
as
guys
well.
could probably call her too, she's probably not working yet today. Oh,
I talked to her as well, she said the same thing, yeah. She tried. She made the effort.
Let's say, for the present time, let's go with 50-50 unless we find out other
Gotcha.
information.
It's fine.
I do like the allocation though, that we did do, but we have nothing to go on.
That's a positive vote to move for that 50-50. Let's pencil that in.
Okay.
Just for the grins, I'll calculate out, see what that actually amounts to, you know, the other way too, just for curiosity's sake, so.
Now we're to courthouse, right?
Yeah.
So 51.
That's what I have, Nick.
Sonny Tyler. In the courthouse, and what we spend for the courthouse for like utilities and stuff like that. So his salary goes back. Fonda stays the same. Custodial supplies, we look over the past, we haven't used over 10,000, so I left it. Well, way back we did. That was in 23, fiscal year 23, we used 11,000, but there was an issue with, I think, the shampooer at the time. We already have a newer one, so we don't need to worry about that.
Where is Tyler on the band?
Gosh, got that laying here. Got a lot of things laying there.
Well, the thing is, we're asking Tyler to do some extra duties now too.
We are, and I thought,
And I think,
we can justify that conversation by changing that job description and incorporate those, so
Yeah.
I think we need to do that, just to make sure that
because he
we're
brings
covered.
some, if you'd wanna say professional type work for us.
Right.
Which might morph in and evolve into a little bit more too, with further study this summer.
I like everything that's on the courthouse, but I would I would give Tyler at least that 5% because of the added duties we're giving him. A lower of 3%, whatever you guys are thinking. It's not fair for us to ask him to do these professional duties without the compensation.
His salary now is $49,875, which is, it's listed on your thing. If you add the 5% to that, that's $52,368
Or
a year.
Or go 3% too,
So,
either one.
yeah, but what is the, how many hours do we work a year?
2008.
Well, he makes 80, he does 80,
No,
or 40 a week. It's 280, is it 280?
2008.
2008.
Yes.
he was doing plumbing duties last week too for them.
As was
Not very
I.
pleasant.
I should get a raise then too, right?
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
We'll give you $52,368.
Hey. In addition,
Yeah.
I did say that.
I had to try.
$24 an hour, so that comes into the band at between 23 and 24.
Where he is right now.
Right. Do you have anything that falls into that pay band categorically?
For the extra duties that you're asking him to do?
No, say out at your maintenance shop or anything, do you have anything that falls down that low into the 23 or 24 pay band?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, I'd have to look at mine.
That's like, yeah, it's $24 an hour.
Give me a minute. I just had the pay bands pulled up. I'll tell you.
I've got it right here too.
You got the pay bands?
Yeah, I can support that, but as long as we take a look at the job description to make sure it's comprehensive.
3 or 5.
Well, we're gonna do it 2.49-ish, 2.5-ish for, if we do a CPI, so at this point, for what he does in that job description, I'd probably say 5. But we need to rewrite that job description and give it Paul.
So it sits at 52,368 on the annual salary.
Okay, keep in mind, I would really like to consider the potential of him and maybe a part-time person, working with him doing snow removal, ice treatment, for county properties. I think we need to look at that because the expenses are pretty pricey on that right now.
Yeah, we need to probably have further discussion on that one.
Yeah, that's down the road, that's not now either.
Okay, we can move on to data processing, right?
And I did make a note, I'll get with Paul on this job description, so. Is Gunner available?
Popped his head in an hour ago.
Clipped his office.
Yeah, I'll just call him real quick, unless you wanna take a short recess, Mr. Chairman.
If somebody needs to do that, we can recess for 5 minutes.
All right, take 6, thank you. Oh, sorry about, yeah.
But he doesn't work with our insurance companies or pay the insurance fees
Well,
or,
he doesn't, but he's gonna help facilitate some of those conversations between workman's comp and the nurse and some of those other things that we need to get better definition on, but to Katie's point.
I just don't know what the criteria is, I've just thought that.
I know, okay.
Good timing.
That's what I hear.
Okay. We're talking the budget that you had proposed, and I thought it would be a good idea for you to come down, because obviously it's gonna tie into our ability to be able to hire a new employee
Sure.
to work with you to help complement your duties here and get get some of that burden off your shoulders. So we've had some recent conversation on that, so I don't know if you filled these two fellows in on that conversation.
I think,
I think it's good to recap that.
yeah, Chad some briefly, I'll come to him before Mark about that. Chad some briefly, I don't know if Mark and I have talked too much about it. But what I'm finding is that as I try to address some of the larger projects and issues that we're trying to get through here at the county, I'm getting pulled away for various things ranging from minor to medium, things that need addressed, copier issues, just fixes on computers, people needing help with just generic PC things or over issues over at the sheriff's office, going through contracts, FOIA requests, as I try to address renewals and getting plans for new infrastructure put in place and addressing what we currently have. I'm just finding that trying to do all that time and during the business hours is getting to be more than a 40-hour, 45-hour one-man job. So the idea was, I mean, there's two avenues you can go. You can outsource more to some different vendors or hire on additional internal staff. The suggestion I made was to hire internal staff for the fact that there'd be county employees responsible solely for the county, and there'd be another good point of contact in the event that I'm gone or on vacation or
To catch up on all those little jobs that aren't
to
getting
catch
done.
up. Yeah, and then also if I am gone, a secondary point of contact for the vendors we do work with for solutions, software company vendors that we use that help us with various things, and they'd have another person to contact, or you guys would know, okay, Gunner's gone, contact this person, and they can get a hold of X company or solutions for the issues we're having.
So the initial job description was a person right out of college, and that pay band was $45-ish to $50,000, right?
Yeah, that was the initial idea.
And that was in the budget.
Correct, and the new idea after talking with other IT counties and also the ICIT team, they kind of came to the conclusion that it might be best in our situation to hire someone that's a little more seasoned, so that way they are able to work more independently than just having me train them. And one example was given that for every hour someone that's fresh into the field works, typically that supervisor has 20 to 30 minutes checking and reviewing and ensuring that accuracy of that work. And that goes down substantially as you get more seasoned.
So 30% to 50% of your time is
So yeah,
actually used.
it would be more of a, in the short term, be more of an issue having someone else come on fresh into the field versus having someone more seasoned.
And that's a step that came from ISAC team.
Yeah.
So I think they're pretty well documented and databased. So what was that salary range?
So the
on that?
proposal for an
The
adjusted
second.
salary would be from that 50,000 up to 60.
50 to 60.
And so the hiring range would be somewhere ideally between 50 to 60,000.
Okay.
In my mind, the salary, I mean, the idea of having a backup plan. My idea, my whole career, you always had a backup plan. If plan A goes south, you fall back on plan B, you have a backup plan. We did not have a backup plan before. We got you in place now. None of us are guaranteed a tomorrow. If something would happen, who knows what, we're not promised a tomorrow. That would give us a backup plan.
Correct. Yeah.
That would give us somebody that could fall right into place, would be able to take over a big share of your duties with a little bit of a learning curve on top of it.
Yeah, there'll be some learning curve just
Yeah.
coming into a new environment,
Yeah.
learning just the operations, but past that point, the generic duties of IT with someone with about 2 to 4 years of experience would fit well into that category of operating independently. Should something happen, and they needed to take over,
They would
for
have
acting director.
familiarity with, you know, maybe even a lower level familiarity with
Yeah.
all the systems in there. And I'm just gonna keep reiterating, it's a plan B type thing. If something happened, we could fall back on.
And
I
I
think
don't
that,
think, yeah, and I don't think it's just a plan B, I think it complements where we are, because if you take a look at what we're doing today, at the rate that we are going, we got the new computers that are sitting upstairs, they've been there for 6 months, it will take us until June to get those.
oh, I would echo what you're saying,
So now those are a year old,
it would get things
And we don't-
implemented
so, yeah.
in a faster mode.
With the amount of staff we have,
With what you said and tied together, I think that is pretty good justification for us to try to get somebody with some experience to get us
Yeah.
out of this.
with the amount of staff we have,
Little bit of hole we're in.
we're leveled at about 2 people. And that goes back to stat, for about every 50 to 60 employees, you have about 1 IT person.
That ratio there.
Yeah, that's a rough estimate, that varies up and down a little bit, but with how we're operating, I think it would be a benefit to the county to have 2 people operating. And if we ever wanted to expand, we'd be in a good position to expand, because we already have the staff in place to do major projects if we needed to split up and work on stuff.
I mean, obviously, I'm a tightwad, I don't like to spend extra money,
Yeah.
but sometimes you gotta spend some money to protect your assets, protect yourself.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not yourself, it's the county.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Any thoughts on it, Mark?
Oh, I'm all for it.
Which part? All of the above?
Yeah, increase the staff, yeah, with somebody with more knowledge, and I'm just questioning, is 60,000 enough?
For 2 to 4 years experience, I kind of discussed that with the ICIT team, and they seemed that'd be a fair assessment. Now, depending on the candidate, they might say near more towards 60 than 50. If they have 4 years experience, they'd start on that latter half more likely. But I think that's a good starting point.
And you've talked with Lee County, and that's kind of where they're at as well, right?
Yes, yeah,
Range.
yeah.
Okay.
They seem to, that seemed to be okay with them with the job duties that we kind of discussed in that.
I said from the very commencement, we needed help.
You did.
Well,
Day one.
I know in years past that offer had been made for assistance and declined, so.
Okay, so with that, you guys are okay if we top that at 60,000 for the extra the IT assistant?
I like the idea of starting on the lower end and negotiating up, I don't like to give away the farm right off the get-go.
Understand.
And it would entirely depend on the candidate.
Yeah. But I think that we just need to understand this so Gunner can move forward and Paul needs to move forward then and make sure that we can get something posted, because obviously we want to do this sooner than later.
So we're gonna meet immediately.
Yeah. Did you catch what he just said?
Immediately.
Yeah.
So on this budget year,
Yes, correct.
If possible. If not possible, then
So you'd be like 4 months of this budget year. Okay. Anything else, you guys have any questions for Gunner as we move down through that? I know Gunner, while they're looking at that, we talked a little bit, have you had any more opportunity to pull together all of the basic costs for IT and office and data processing through the various departments at this point?
Oh, for copiers, things like that.
Yeah, so we can consolidate that under one budget.
A little bit, more so with the phones and the copiers, because the copiers are pretty static in cost. But just discovering more, it sounds like a lot of departments, like I didn't know conservation had their own phone plan, secondary roads has their own phone plan, so as I've talked to people, we're kind of already doing a couple different things, and so we're gonna discuss that, I think, at the HR meeting and see if they like that, or, if we wanna consolidate, because it also comes to, I know, like, conservation has hotspots that they use for out there at Oakland Mills for campers. Do we wanna?
Cabins,
Yeah, cabins, and now, do we wanna put that all under IT's budget? With how we're operating, does it make sense to keep things as they are? Just discuss those things at the HR meeting and
Okay.
go from there.
Okay, so we'll leave that to you to discuss with the team members to figure out what the best route is for that. But just to your point then, when we talk about phones, you've already consolidated some savings for us with phones and internet, correct?
Yeah, we're still working through the contract with Lisco, and I told her after the meeting, because we're gonna discuss a little bit that too, I'm gonna get a final count of how many physical phones we need at each office, if we're happy with the current amount. I think we're paying for 5 or 6 over at the VA's office, but I think it's just for one person over there, so I gotta verify if there was something worked out with the juvenile court staff, or if they're on a separate system. If that's the case, that's about 4 phones that we could remove. So, but yeah, once that's all done, there'll be some cost savings.
Okay.
I was made aware that we were getting a grant, for our phone bill, and that ended in September. So reviewing the bills, our costs started to go up from October to current, and now they'll kind of go back down some, not to the level that we were getting the discount on, but after negotiating it, it'll be about consistent with where it was. So it won't be as much saving as initially thought, because wasn't aware we had a grant.
The things you learn when you have time to be able to work on them, right? Okay. Any other questions? Where are we on the cell phone situation? You gonna work with the folks next week at the meeting to
Yeah, I
determine
got
who
quotes
needs what?
from AT&T and T-Mobile. I've made a call to Verizon today to get back with them and get a business plan together, but knowing that we already have a couple business plans, my guess, since they're government contracts, it's probably gonna be consistent with what we're already paying. I don't think that there would be a different price range for that. Was Jake back there? Do you know roughly off the top of your head what you're paying per phone? That's putting you on the spot. If you have no idea, that's fine.
I don't wanna answer that right off,
Yeah,
but
no,
no,
that's fine.
we have a couple tablets and we have a couple phones, so
Yeah.
the tablets are used on inspections, and then our data collector we use, has a service that's
Use
incorporated with
a
that.
hotspot with that or something?
Not a hotspot, it's in the data collector itself, it's actually.
Oh,
part
like a
of
SIM card or
It's kind of like a smartphone data collector's way.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any, Chad or Mark, any other questions?
No.
Got it? Sounds good. It sounds like you should move forward with Plan B on the IT person, work with Paul, and
Okay.
let's get that rolling.
So I'll shoot him an email and I'll let you guys, I'll put the supervisors as a CC so you can see what he moves forward with.
That'd be great. And then work with Andrew and Joel for your posting and see how that goes.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. You got all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where we at?
Well, IT just left, so whoever's next after IT.
We do have mental health, but we can do nothing. But we have not done it. If there's any question, I would say, juvenile probation is nothing we can do about. Otherwise, we have non-departmental and these two gentlemen. This we-
Not that one. Alright. What do you wanna do first, Chad?
You grab one and go. I'm not in any certain order, I just grab whatever the.
Jake's gonna listen to everything that we say, Taylor, so if you wanna, he's taking notes, he's helping us. No, he's had some good input. Looking at some of the funds and where we're at, so, yeah.
Did you say mental health, you're not doing anything different with that, or, I thought I heard you say mental health.
As in,
Is there anything to do with it
There was,
on the ads?
with the ads finding.
I have made contacts and I've
No one
gotten
gets
nowhere.
back to you. I contacted Dan Kennel from ads, he's their executive, and he said he was going to get with you, so. I've tried.
I've contacted my, one at the state level, and the lady said she'd get a hold of another guy, he was supposed to call me back, he hasn't, so.
Okay.
And I do not have his phone number, so.
Are we keeping that funding the same then, or what are we doing with the dollars that we were giving them?
Really, the ads gentleman needs to talk to us.
Okay,
Otherwise, we're funding something the state has taken away from us. It's the way I look at it.
okay.
Am I looking at it wrong?
No, that was my concern, is we're funding it, and I don't know how you wanna continue, if you wanna continue allocating those dollars or not. That's not something that I'm really in charge of, so I can reach back out to him again.
If we're not getting a grant anymore,
Right.
that we offset that with, why do we pay something that the state's taken from us?
I'm not disagreeing with you, Mark, I'm not, so I'll reach out to him again to see if he'll get in touch with
because
you.
we don't know what they're gonna do with it.
What's that?
I mean, I
Kelly was just
understand
asking.
helping the people,
Right,
but
right.
they have other courses.
If
to
they
do
have
it.
another avenue for
They have
that,
other
I don't
avenues.
know.
Are you guys just wanting to leave it the same?
No, that's
No.
why I was saying, cause right now there's 23,000 and some allocated, and do we need to continue to levy for that?
Right.
It doesn't sound like it, but I guess we don't know that yet.
No, we don't. I mean,
Because if you guys look at your general ledger that the treasurer had given you, it tells you how much money's in there as of the end of January,
What was it,
81,
81,000?
181,000.
100.
181, sorry, my bad.
Are you talking about for the opioid funding?
No,
Okay,
this one's a fund
This is mental
labeled
health.
exactly for mental health.
okay.
And I didn't know what was going on with
And
that.
see,
fund.
we had to keep it because we didn't know what they were gonna do with it. And so if you took over part of that, then we didn't know what to do with it still, because there were still things coming out of that.
Right,
So we didn't know what the state was gonna do with it at all, so we left it alone.
we still have to keep the funding in there for like the sheriff transport and all of the substance abuse, like
Mhm.
hospitalizations or
Mhm.
whatnot, but the large chunk of that money was going towards the ads funding.
Yep.
So that was my question, because I didn't know what you guys wanted to do with it.
I don't think we'll know until Mark has a conversation.
See,
Hopefully
again,
soon.
again, we're back at
Right.
not knowing what the
What
state
the
wants to
state wants
do.
us to do yet.
Well, but he's gonna pursue that, so hopefully we'll
They've
get an
been saying
answer.
that for years, they don't know what they're gonna do with it.
Well, we'll just cut it. How's that?
No,
Yeah.
you can't just cut it because you have the ads.
Part of it we can keep, yeah, the transports that she was talking about, but the rest of that,
Yeah, like the transport's part of that unfunded mandate that we require us
Correct.
to do.
Correct, so we're required to keep that, because that was my question, not knowing, is like, is that coming out of the mental health budget? And they said that doesn't come out of the mental health budget, cause that's for substance abuse hospitalizations.
$181,000, $342.
I saw that and I'm like, well, why do we still have this? But
We might have to ask the state auditors questions too, on that.
Yeah, because I thought that was supposed to be long and void, is what I understood it.
isn't that what Sarah got paid out of?
Yeah, but see, they paid back quarterly. We had to send
No.
them quarterly, and then they would pay us, they would reimburse us what we got paid quarterly, but
But
It's
we
still
don't have
separate.
that.
we don't have that, we haven't had them for over a year. So,
So who are we on? We're on Caleb's,
Yeah, whatever one's next in your book.
that's what I have.
Caleb, do you want to look at yours, so you can explain?
yeah, if you don't mind.
Here, just flip it over, that's just notes from, sorry,
Yesterday.
I have it everywhere. Like this. Don't go to my desk.
So I have your note up, Caleb.
Yep.
I can share that with these
Yeah,
guys if
that's-
you'd like.
Yep, go right ahead.
Caleb and I did some follow-up for you guys on some questions I had for him. So his answers are in red here, so you can see those as we move along. Okay, Chad, can you see that, or I need to turn?
Yeah, I can see that better, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess just with the ITC, I budgeted some of those funds, so we have not received the full amount for the power line upgrade. So we,
Excuse me, yeah,
Yep.
so I understand what you're saying, but again, is there a space in here that tells us where, what that's revenue? So is there something that tells us what that dollar amount is?
I don't have that, no, not right offhand. So I'm pretty sure, Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, we've been depositing, well, the first round of easement payments went into land acquisition.
Okay, because that's where you took it
We
from.
told you
yes.
to keep it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I
So-
still think, I'd like to know what that number is.
Yeah, and I'll make a note here and.
You wanna know what's in there now, or?
Well,
What they paid him.
What,
They were-
yeah,
what ITC
for the
paid
first
him.
initial installment, I don't know if you can pull that up.
I can look up our revenue possibly.
Yeah, cause it was, I wanna say 10% of the total amount, so they were doing like at least 2-3 installment payments, and then before they started any sort of construction, you should be paid in full.
Right.
So, and I don't know, and like I mentioned in the email there, so this whole project is approximately a year behind schedule.
Right.
Because there was a huge lawsuit. Some other power line companies were suing ITC because they wanted their opportunity to bid on the project. So, but I can get, yeah, if you can't pull that up,
Cause I looked at your revenue sheet, I didn't see it in there, and I was just.
No, yeah.
It's like a revenue, detail transaction, where you could see where they've been doing it at hand.
But at 10%, 45,000 is, that can't be right, so.
No.
You could probably go in it.
So they did give us 10% because we brought that all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I think Caleb's got several different properties, and a little background. There's a phase 1 and there's a phase 2.
Right.
Some of phase 1 is gonna be, they're planning on starting next, maybe even this fall, to be honest. And that's some stuff I'll be bringing up to you because we're working on some haul road user agreements. So I think you'll get based on that concept, if they stick with that schedule, that money should come yet this fiscal year or early next fiscal year for the remaining
Last time
90%.
I knew, cause this same line goes through my personal property.
Right.
But they were anticipating starting tree removal in the fall of 27. But they were starting on the western edge of the project zone, if you will, and working this way.
But that should tie back into what we've been talking about, so if you have trees that are harvestable, like
Yes.
Mark had mentioned
Yep.
this,
Little generation.
there should be some more revenue generated
Yeah,
from
and I
harvestable
haven't,
trees. Talk to Bob or somebody?
Yeah, I have talked to Bob about it, and he's, like I said, up there behind you, he's more than willing to come out and take a look. Yeah.
He's Mark's neighbor, so if you need help.
Well, he just, yes, he has been in the business for quite some time, and
He was a spin-off of the Geode
Forestry, yeah, so, but yeah, like I said, he's more than willing to come, look at really any of our properties, cause we do have quite a few.
What'd you say about your REAP? I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure we deposited the first installment in
For the REAP,
late
they
acquisition.
look like it was like, oh, the REAP one was, 12.
It was like in June or
Yeah, it would have been back in
May or June is when we
Yeah,
got that.
and
We had
then-
to figure out some
REAP
money.
is- Well, yeah, REAP comes from the state. We get anywhere from $11,000 to $12,000 allocation each year from.
Which is I fill out those papers and send them back so you get that money.
Yep.
And it's kind of.
But yeah, to answer your question, see if I can look and see how much we got for cause I think they broke it down. They kinda had like an overall,
Breakdown of payment,
breakdown payment,
scheduled payment.
schedule payments, yeah.
That's like 140,000, 135,000.
For the first, the 10%, yeah, between Catch and Switch and the two other properties that.
Okay, so that would make more sense if they
You
gave
did
you a
that for
third.
your
Yes, yep.
Okay. So that's more like a third.
Ours is right around 50,000 for the easement that they needed at the quarry. And then your Ketchum one, like, what they sent me for an email is they're saying, tentative line construction for phase 1, which would be this Ketchum area, Ketchum's out west. They're saying, be, Q1 of 2026, and they're estimating a duration of 1 year. They're gonna start some of their tree removal and different things this fall, but that goes from Atumwa to essentially out there at that Ketchum switch. So they're starting at the very west end, working this way. But there'll be some more information coming out,
I understood it too.
and I can look up an old email to see if I can find the dollar amount.
Caleb, is it just in as donation, is that what it
It
is?
shouldn't be, no.
What's the fund? You run the fund, I can call it, no, one of the girls run the fund.
Cause I'll look it up, I'll play with
Okay.
it.
Yeah, and I can look too. I've got those folders. I know exactly where they're at. Oh my gosh.
Is that organized chaos like ours?
Mine might be a little more organized. I at least know where it's at.
General basic, the second one back in.
As long as you feel that you can find stuff there.
This is all the revenue.
I've got neat
totals
piles.
That he's gotten it in.
You find it
And
at
I
like,
did it from,
snap your finger.
That's all that matters.
No, they didn't. I know they
You have to impress the I'll say that.
Hey, as long as you can find it, that's all that matters.
did, in this fiscal year, 22. That's what I got.
Is there, so what are we gonna do here on Kale?
Okay, so I think, everything that we've looked at, we've talked about taking all of those base salaries back to where they were so that we can take a look at that, cause Caleb's is actually coming in at about 11.5%.
Yeah, so that we actually talked about that. So what I did was I budgeted 2.5% performance raise for those individuals that met performance standards, and then 5% for cost of living. That's what I ended up doing, which I
That
guess
sounds reversed.
It is reversed.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
I know what you're
It's
talking about.
been a long week. A lot of congestion and
You got
this
it
had
too,
my-
huh?
Yeah, oh, I think, yeah, I picked it up at, the conference last week. Hopefully on the down and out, so.
3 weeks.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm right at a week right now. I'm feeling better today, but.
Kelly, look at this.
Some days.
But yeah, so 2.5% for performance and 3% or 5%, excuse me, for cost of living is what I did. I misspoke when I presented it to you guys. So, and I can adjust that, that's not a problem. But I think too, per our conversation this morning, you know, if we can, you know, work with Paul and try to get whatever the national average is for cost of living in December, and you guys agree upon it, we can send it out to all department heads, and that's what we use. So there's no uncertainty, I think, we're.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but that's still uncertain because it's not a given.
Yeah,
Okay? So
yeah.
just so you
Well,
understand.
and I get
CPI is
where
not a
you're,
given.
yeah, and I
And that's
get
why
where
we're
you're
coming
coming in
back.
there too, but it's just, give us a baseline, something to.
Your baseline should be your salary from last year.
Okay.
Maybe we could look it up.
So-
Call in later.
I sent a text to Cheryl, see if she could run it.
I think that's what Chad had asked Robin to take a look at when she read the sheets, so I think it all
Yeah,
ties
so I was
together.
thinking that too, I'm thinking, I know you're just like,
Okay. So,
yeah, remember that.
yeah, I think there are a couple of other things in there, so obviously if you give us a number where you're at, we know that money is earmarked from ICC, but just give us an idea where you're at when it's coming in, because it's not logged in there as a revenue anywhere, so we can see it.
You said you were still working on that process though as well.
Yeah, I did not have that.
It should be consistent with Jake as well.
Tractor.
I have not made contact with Nathan, we were playing phone tag, when I was gone last week to the conference, and he did stop out, I just left him a voicemail, I said, tractor is here, you come look at it at your convenience. He came out yesterday or the day before,
Had some last week, he was out there yesterday.
yep, so.
Talked to Dalton.
Yep.
So that's not ingrained, and all I did was I just gave him specs, I didn't give him any prices, you gotta do your very best job to give you an idea where you're at.
Yeah.
And then there is a discount for government and county funds, so we'll take a look at that, but again, just the dollars, but I think you guys have had some conversation on maybe a tractor.
Yeah, so
Or
what
have you
model?
had anything
It's a
more?
6000 series tractor.
Yeah, it's 6120, I think.
And yeah, so maybe next week if that works.
I just offered up saying if you wanted to come try it out, just to
yeah.
get an idea for.
So you're talking 120 horsepower is plenty for you.
Oh yeah,
Is that an
because
M
we've
or
got
what
the
is
biggest. I mean, we
What
do a
else?
lot of mowing.
What series is it, an M or an E or what?
That one's an M.
Okay.
Yeah.
15.
It's a mid-range, just a little more high spec than what he's looking at from that Kubota size thing. Cause that would be an E series.
Cause the tractor we have right now is a 5,000 series, but really the biggest attachment I would say, or piece of implement that we pull behind it is our 15-foot batwing, which is 1,000.
But you're in that right range then from a horsepower standpoint with Jake. So that would be
So, but yeah, I've
Plus
talked to
a cab,
Jake
right?
about it, yes. So really the only thing it doesn't have is a loader, on the front of it, but I mean, if we can work out a deal.
Well, I think it was just a matter of you coming out and looking at it, see
Yep.
if it works for you guys. I mean, that's something that we're looking at getting a rear side deck mower that's permanently mounted on the tractor. So we don't wanna
Yeah,
have
the
another
skid loader
tractor
go too.
around, so that's what we were gonna trade off, but,
Right.
I mean,
But there's times we're using both at the same
Well, we were talking
time.
about 84 hours a year, average or something like that.
Well, he might use it more. if he
Oh,
had a
yeah.
cab.
I mean, but
To this point, yeah.
Eventually could be.
But to this point, I mean, and I would say Dalton and I have put a lot on it since we've been here,
And obviously-
especially our skid loader. But yeah, I mean, if it works, I think next week it's supposed to warm up. I'd be happy to come out. Dalton and I can take a look at it. I think cost savings wise, if it does work out, it would probably be in our best interest.
Yeah.
And I guess too, then, the cost, I would kind of rely on you to come up with a ballpark figure of, what you feel, would be a good asking price, and then we could, like Mark and I talked here the other day, we can post our tractor on Gov Deals. I'm guessing that's probably gonna be, the best route.
Easiest.
know.
Fairest.
so what we've done, we've purchased the city's old in-loader for our shop for salt loading and stuff, and essentially what it comes down to is you get a trade value, when you're looking at whatever you're gonna replace it with, whatever that trade value is, because we're intergovernment, to me, it's just, whatever the trade value is, that's what we would look at. Obviously you get a little bit more maybe, but at the same time, it's just moving it from one department to the other, so it's just swap of funds. We just gotta have that documentation, and to be honest, we said you could take it out and use it. We're not using it right now because it's winter time. We're not out actively mowing, so that's some stuff that they could try it out to make sure the tractor works the way they wanna use it, so.
That sounds like a deal.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
You have to provide your own fuel though.
Yeah, well, we can do that.
Just make sure it's full.
I don't want
when
Rich to
you're
get an
ready
idea.
bring it back.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Empty, you leave, full, and bring it back.
But yeah, I think that's something Jake and I will be working on here within the next week, and Dalton and I can go out and take a look at it. And so that would be, like I said, huge cost savings.
Yeah.
Because
That's a win-win for
new
everybody.
or used equipment right now is outrageous. So,
Okay. And then I think the only other thing that we had on that note was, and you had mentioned this, so, but I wanna bring it up one more time. Mark and I had talked about this numerous times, I know Chad has been involved in that, but potential income, if you start looking at, rotating some tree harvests at the various facilities, so that, to your point earlier, if those oaks are gonna die, let's get some value on them before they totally trash.
So yesterday, Dalton and I, we had to run down to Gibson and deal with a situation, and we were doing a little bit of sightseeing in the process. And yeah, there's quite a few walnuts that are to that point. I know it's a sensitive subject,
Yeah.
most.
Most of those people realize that you gotta cut a few.
I mean, right now, timber prices are at an all-time high. And, they're just gonna whittle away.
Yeah.
To me, you can manage a timber just like a row crop. And unfortunately, right now, I've seen it on my farm, oaks are dying left and right. Oak wilt, is going through our timbers here in southeast Iowa, and they're just dying standing up.
And you can do selective
Yeah.
harvest, but you can do careful harvest.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think of timber harvest,
It's clear
and
cutting.
it's the
Yeah.
skidder coming in and running over umpteen
Yeah.
juvenile trees, where that's not necessarily a requirement.
And two, and I kinda mentioned it here in the email, we'd have to do probably a public hearing or something, just, outline the scope of the project. For me, you know, harvest mature trees, we're not going in, we're not clear cutting by any means, doing a selective harvest. Right now, you know, prime example, Gibson up on top of the hill, it is nothing but white oak, which is great. But, you know, it is not allowing, the canopy of these trees are not allowing any sunlight to get to the forest floor to encourage oak regeneration. So it's just, yeah, it's a part of the cycle, you know, and I've got quite a bit of experience in that. I've done some management tree harvest, been a part of that, and I think, you know, it's something that we can generate some revenue and put right back into our parks, be a little more self-sustaining. You know, instead of asking a lot, you know, out of the county taxpayers. But
I think, a public informational type thing would go a long ways, and explaining to those people that like trees but don't understand trees on how you selectively get that, and it opens the canopy up so seedlings can regenerate, and kind of explain that, give them a timber management 101 in an hour.
You know, going back to Bob Petrozelka, he's been in the business for 30-some plus years. And to me, if you are gonna do a timber harvest, you need to have a consultant like Bob be the middleman. Yes, you have to pay him, you know, 5 to 7% for his consulting fees, but he's been in the business long enough to know who's reputable log buyer and timber cutters and who's not. And essentially he's working for you, trying to get as much out of your timber stand that you can possibly get. You know, I know the last time I did a management harvest, there was more after the tornado had come through. There was 4 to 5 different contractors that bid on that. And, you know, it's a competitive bid is what it is.
Would Lisa or any of the Iowa DNR foresters be able to do that type of work?
Yeah, I know Lisa. I mean, she doesn't have, and I've worked with Lisa for 20-some years, out at Geoden on my personal farm. But she can do that kind of stuff. But I would lean more towards having Bob help with that.
What about that guy down at Shimmick? I mean, there's thousands of acres down there that they rotate around.
So yeah, John Bird down at Shimmick, they've been doing a lot of timber harvest in the park down there, which I know you've been down there, as well as timber stand improvement. You know, getting rid of what I would call more of your junk trees, not as desirable trees, your honey locust, black locust. You know, girdling those, hitting them with herbicide to encourage, you know, your oaks and your more valuable trees to thrive. So, but yeah, definitely, I mean, I think it's worth a conversation. I want to say, I don't know, I'd have to pull in the archives, but I think there had been a timber harvest completed at Oakville Mills from like the top of the hill area back to our cabins, 2 of our cabins back there. I don't know, because there's still kind of remnants of cut stumps, but I don't know if that might have been back when Don Peak was the director, so quite a while ago. But I think, yeah, long term, you know, and 2, it doesn't stop there. You know, you don't do your management harvest and then just walk away. You need to go in, and with this grant that we just received from the Iowa DNR, to go back in and, you know, tackle your honeysuckle, your invasive understory shrubs. But that, I guess that's my thoughts. You know, and I've talked to the conservation board about it, and they're in favor.
Good. And in my mind, if you don't harvest those mature trees that are ending their life cycle, you start having more of those widowmakers and dead snags in the top that then you gotta pay money to go get out because they're above your walking trail.
Walking trail, yeah, or high traffic areas, you know. So,
But yeah, we should plan that so that we can keep in touch with you on that as a revenue, so that we know where we're at. I think that's kind of the big deal, because obviously we can help you earmark that, and you like trails,
So
so
we
you
have
can
to-
utilize it, but
Sure.
other than that, I think we're probably good, aren't we?
If you have any other questions, let me know, and I can make some adjustments to my salary figures and get that resubmitted.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who's next on Mark's list?
Yeah, JCG.
We only got one left, I think.
See, save the biggest.
Well, you
biggest
guys got
baddest
it,
for
so
last.
if you guys wanna talk to him about it, this would be the best time to do it.
It's a thumbs up, right?
Yeah, what do you got to say?
I'm just here if you got questions about it, so, I think,
I don't really have questions about it, but I did want to share some info that you shared, and I thought it was really good, so. Let me pull you up here, and you could, one of the things that Jake and I have been talking about, and I think Heidi's probably helped us a little bit with that, right, Jake? Is
yeah,
Community
well, Robin and
Betterment
Heidi have
Fund.
been helpful on, we're just trying to get a better understanding of how those dollars are being used and allocated, so we've been working just to, since I am asking, the road department is using dollars out of those funds, I think it was worthwhile to investigate that or make sure that,
Yeah, it goes back to the conversation Mark and I were having the other day, and like, where do those dollars go, how we allocate those, and having a better idea of where we go, so that we can do a better job of allocating in the future. Because right now, I don't know if we've got a good handle on that. I know we look at it, we can see when it's printed out, but visually, it's a tad bit more challenging.
so if you go to that community betterment tab, I think that's where the, if you're looking at a graph.
We are, right?
And that shows the last 10 years of above that data is the 10 years of the fund balances and what's been budgeted, what's been spent.
And we're on track to hit that again this year, so, yeah, we can't go higher because of where we are in this fiscal year, but I think, yeah, 1.2 is probably pretty darn close. And that's what you and I talked about the other day, Mark, 'cause it's fairly consistent over the course of the last probably 3 years or so. And then if you look at Jake's graph that he put together for us, I'll review. It falls in line with that. I think you can see that right now.
So if you zoom down, just scroll down a little bit further, that would be showing if we use the same balance or the same budgeted item for fiscal year 26, what fiscal year 27 would end based on no growth in your loss fund. Like if it was the 1.2 plus where the permit fees were, if you use the same 1.6 that you're using out of community betterment fund and use that same dollar amount again for this new budget, that's what you would roughly show as long as everything was in check. So if you budget more than 1.6, then you have to really start looking at that. Sorry.
You mean, you're talking the overall lost
Yeah.
dollars, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just looking at the loss one. This graph here just shows how we spent the money. There's the blue line is the income that's come in. So, and then the red is what we've expended. So obviously we're expending more than what we're taking in right now, but there's been a reserve. And then you guys have to decide what is that dollar amount that you wanted in there for a reserve.
So, yeah, we spent about 275,000 more than we took in, so I think to your point earlier, we need to get a pretty good grip on that, know exactly where we're allocating those dollars from. Because today that takes in what's in Department 99, so it'd be the request that we're getting obviously for fair, this allocation sheet that, did you give us that this morning?
Yeah.
Old Threshers, tourism.
But on this one,
Mm-hmm.
the one that we could take out of there, that $100,000 for emergency management. Because they have their own taxing ability.
And when you say taxing ability, you mean a levy?
Correct.
Did they decide that, or are they going to? Cause I always thought it was part
I
of the
thought
county.
they passed.
Well, I think the ability exists, but this board out there
It hasn't done.
is just talking of it.
Alright, so
ask them
it's not a levy by itself, they're still in with, okay, but they have their own board,
Yeah,
yes.
And they have the ability to levy, so that would make a huge difference, $100,000.
Just in that fund.
Yeah.
Plus some others.
Right.
you know,
Which is, I don't get their budget until the day that it's probably due, so.
you know, the way I understand it, that ability is out there for that board to levy or, you know, to ask that, to fund that under their own name versus riding under the wing of the county. You know, for funding the street lawn.
I come around, I got 50 things in there. What is the Henry County Treasurer? What is that?
This was made by somebody else, so I'm not sure what that is. I'll find out. I don't know why it's like that. I think it's because we had to check to emergency management,
Oh,
where we had to allocate.
oh, I bet you're right.
That's exactly
Same
what it
thing.
is,
Well,
yeah.
then there should be one for Jake
Okay.
too.
Yeah, well then Jake's is.
I didn't see it.
His isn't on here.
It
His
isn't
is
on
like
there.
100 and
Yeah.
something dollars.
But Jake's is on the other one, this is just
Yeah.
something
That's
that's
what
pulled
that
out,
is. That's a
where
transfer.
Jake's is
Okay.
on
Transfer two.
the transfer out, so this probably should be on.
But that's only $60,000, so
I think that one
That was an
Walt's.
allocated cost
I think
that,
that one's Walt's.
yeah, that he gets yearly, towards the end of the year,
it's 60,000, so we always transfer $100,000.
$160,000.
His is like 500,000
So what are we talking about? Community Betterment Fund, or are we talking about Fund 99?
allocating
Community
funds
betterment,
out
but
of
it's
community
listed
betterment.
in Fund 99, unfortunately, so.
Well, some
Under
parts
this,
of,
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is just a reminder that nobody else sees, like,
Oh,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nobody
So what
else
we're talking
calls us
about
and
is
tells us
what is
about
the-
that has to happen before the end of the fiscal year.
correct.
And your office stays on top of that, so, I mean, it's something that we just kinda remind ourselves.
Give me that number, 60,000.
$60,000.
Oh,
You want the
160.
actual
I
account
want
number?
the, yeah, the whole
That,
fund.
that we're funding.
60,000.
Emergency management out of the general fund,
100.
160,000.
500.
Last year it was
Four
190.
1570.
Wasn't it?
I have to look it up too.
Kelly, is that
I think
going
that's
to
money.
emergency management?
I think
Because
that's
This
what,
is
yeah.
it's fully managed,
This is
fully funded.
24, 25.
But we have to write a check to
25,
the treasurer
26
for
was
the treasurer
190.
to
Okay,
get that money to allocate.
so
That's
that's
why
not
it's like
Jake,
that.
that's totally
no,
emergency
no,
management
Jake's
all the way around, okay.
Not higher.
I'm looking at.
For
the
secondary
old-
roads.
Yep.
So if you scroll up at the top there of that chart,
It was 160.
Steve,
Yeah,
there's a worksheet,
but
like,
that 30,000.
there's a lot of items that are budgeted out of Community Betterment Fund that go to different fund balances or different things, but this is just like a, this is like a balance, this is just your bank account, your checking account, what's in there. And in their current fiscal year, on that one report that Heidi, there's 1.6 that's budgeted to come out of community betterment. So the dollars that were allocated into the expense side of it came out at that dollar amount. So that's the one I think that you really, there's a whole bunch of things that
So
get
is
funded out of that.
Is that fund 31,000, Robin?
Some,
What are you talking about?
What he's talking about here, so community betterment is the.
Yes, that's what we
fund
talked about the other
31,000
day. Yes,
That Heidi was working with, secondary roads on.
31,000, and 31,000.
So to his point, yeah, there's a lot of things coming out of there, but he's the main.
yeah, so your rural garbage collection or your garbage
Garbage is
services,
out
like
there.
a big dollar amount. And
350.
roads, the,
It's like, I think there was like 385,000 for the garbage waste side.
Total, yeah, from
Yeah.
here as well as down at the tipping fees, right?
And also, our existing old sanitary landfill.
Oh, right. Forgot about that one, yeah. Okay. You guys have any questions on that? That's a pretty good layout and detail, see where we're at. I think the thing that, to what Jake has done here, and I can kind of compare that to what I had put together, we're in the same situation for the most part. Looking at just a little different perspective, the dollars that go into community betterment, and then I was looking at what we had talked about with that fund, 31,000 was actually coming out of there, so we can really itemize those and understand how that goes in Department 99.
31,000, there's a lot that comes out of 31,000.
There's
A lot.
a lot.
Maintenance operations, Trenton Park stuff,
I'd like to see where those.
these are basically
I think
safety
that-
allowances, there's all kinds of stuff.
But I think there's probably some scrutiny that needs to go back into that.
Scrutiny.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
I mean, we are allocating a ton of dollars here to things that may not really fall under community betterment. We need to scrutinize the dollars that we are allocating so that we know that that's truly what those dollars are going to, rather than using it to back up some of the rural basic stuff that we're seeing.
This is what I was trained on, this is what
I
was in
understand.
here, so,
Mark and I have had this conversation as well.
I'm sure.
So that would be other people, not necessarily like me, I don't have anything comes out for 31,000, but,
You're welcome to look at it here.
well, no, like, would that affect other people's budgets? Like if
Potentially, yes.
somebody else has something that they're using for that line item,
Potentially. But again, that's the whole effort, is to understand where it's going to,
no,
and why.
I know.
But you're more
I'm
than
just saying
welcome.
that it would
Robin pulled
probably,
this for us,
it would
for
probably affect
Dahlia
other.
or somebody,
What?
that 31,000.
Oh, I got it, you got it right here. By itself, right here,
Okay,
Here's
any other
31,000.
questions for
there's a lot of scrutinies in here.
Jake, you guys? Jake, the only question I had, tying back into what we just talked about with Caleb, the ITC money, you're gonna use that to crush, right? And so then, the money that you're using to crush, we used, what, $500,000 this year plus to crush, right, to get you that buffer, more than that. But to get you
Yeah,
that buffer for 3 years, and then, so what does that do when you use this, whatever it is, $50,000 from ITC?
It goes in as income or revenue that's coming in and just gets used, dispersed as part of the rock that we're buying, pipes that we're buying, culverts, whatever it is. So we get a lot of, I budget for sure dollars that we know that are coming in, from revenue.
That's for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You got the check already on one of them.
It's actually, I'm anticipating coming in this year, so I think I showed it on this side of it. And then there's some times where the revenue doesn't always show up, but because we have our fund balance stays locked into roads, a carryover balance, and it might, if it comes this year, I may not have a budget that I'm using it next year, but it's part of my overall.
But I guess, back to these two guys then, I guess the question, and it impacts you obviously, if, for example, he's getting another $50,000 for the use of that facility down there from ITC, can we offset some of that $500,000, keep him where he is, instead of giving him an extra 10% to work with, and utilize that for something else that we may need to do? Does that make sense?
So we would throw that,
But we're not
Incoming-
reducing you, you're just not seeing more than what you've seen in the past. And I don't know if you budgeted that way or not, but that's the question for these guys to take into account and consideration.
But you said you had a backup plan in case, if you have to move some things around.
I
that
need to
you-
do.
Yeah, if you guys end up producing the request that I have for 500,000, I just need to go back and double check on some different items on our income that's coming in to make sure that we're solvent that way.
Right.
If I had to tweak some things around. And it usually comes down like, from
But
an
to your
income
point,
standpoint, we get a lot of different funds that get like, an example I would give you is if we get down with this Hall Road user agreement, there would be potentially some damages or some improvements are gonna be done that I'm not budgeting for, but those are dollars that would be essentially a pass-through that they're coming through, or some of our services. I'm not showing that income because it's not guaranteed or when I'm gonna get that one, so
It's guaranteed, you just don't know when.
the one that you're talking about is
Yes,
guaranteed,
yeah.
but some of these other
Right.
fees that we have, so we get a lot of miscellaneous, so I make an estimate, I think
Okay.
on my program, I showed like 140,000 of miscellaneous revenue, that's fuel, that's permits,
Right.
some of these other things, well, I don't hate to use the word lowball, but you don't wanna overestimate that and then have an issue where you're budgeting to spend more, but you didn't actually bring it in,
Right,
so.
no, I understand what you're saying, I wanna keep it consistent.
Yep.
But if we need that difference, 50,000, 45, whatever it is, that you're gonna get from ITC, if we have a shortfall somewhere, at least we have that to work with. Because it's coming out of community betterment, as long as we keep it in the
Yeah.
community betterment mode.
Shake you up there.
That's all right, I need to move.
And this year, I think we're showing it, of how we're gonna use it. So usually when I present to you guys about what we're gonna use those lost dollars for, I'm telling you what we're using it for. So in years past, I've used some of those lost dollars for road projects, like, hey, we're gonna go do some gravel road rebuilding, and that's offsetting some of those costs, or a local construction project. I think Fremont, right now, the culvert that's being down there, the lost dollars in our current fiscal year are actually contributing to that project as far as keeping it funded. So that's where I try to present what I'm gonna use that for at that time as I'm looking at it. But yeah, I guess what I would say is, not naive to say that the asking I have this year most likely cannot be the same next year, unless we have a need for it and show that. So I see that fluctuating, but that is a way that we're able to maintain our rock plan when we're looking about what we're trying to do for the maintenance and stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, I just wanna make sure that we're all in sync as well, understanding that
Yeah.
there could be a tad bit of a buffer there for you
Over here.
with that income.
So,
Yep.
alright, let me see what's in
And
here.
it's not significant,
that's
obviously,
what
with your
Thanks,
budget,
what's
so.
in here?
Yeah, I
It
mean,
helps.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Better than a sharp stick in the eye, but,
Right. But good work, I think that really laid that out nicely, so people can really understand the dollars that have been accumulated and spent. But again, I think it just goes back to us making sure where those dollars are avenued towards.
That we have enough,
Right.
that's trendy not.
Yeah, so I think, the other discussion on it is like, for us, like, everybody's talking about doing away with property taxes or bringing property taxes down to 350, and some of the conversation and some of the legislative proposals, whether it's the governor's or the House or the Senate, is that we can offset property taxes with lost sales. We'd have to bump our sales tax up significantly to replace any kind of a revenue that we would lose, and we don't have that kind of economic potential in our small community. It's not possible.
It's just over like a certain thing, like
So-
the tree grinding down.
We'd really take a hit.
And it depends on how it's
Something happened
labeled
there,
to
so we
use, what was
reimbursed.
voted on by the public.
It would be, but
We
on the
should
other side,
also,
the dollars just wouldn't
you know,
add
like
up.
the fees for
Kelly's bringing in $30 million, $40 million from
bring
property
back
tax
that,
revenue, and it's capped out at, say, 50% of that. There's no way we could charge enough from a sales tax to cover a $20 million deficit. Just, it can't happen in our community. It could happen in
This is all stuff
Waukee
on.
or Grimes or maybe Iowa
Powers
City,
and
but not for
Cooney,
us.
and then we had
They'd probably have to do
flags. I don't
something
know
different.
We'll go upstairs. we'll
But
go
for us,
down,
it would just
okay?
Yeah, not a problem.
Deficit shortfall
Okay.
period.
Good. Excuse me, Jake.
Yeah.
Okay. Budget wise, what else you got, Chad? Did you get squared away?
Well, she's just gonna print out one line for me a little bit
Okay.
upstairs.
Kelly, any questions?
Looks like old Thrashers, I talked to Terry just briefly yesterday evening or afternoon about maybe needing to create a contract
Yes.
agreement,
Where those funds are
with him
allocated
for
very
these
specifically.
funds to be more compliant with the thought process of what are we getting for that
Mhm.
public good in a contract form for that.
So you guys are a little confused. This is mandated through the or through the auditor, Rob Sands, like 2 years ago.
What are you guys talking about? I
So
only
we
got
have-
one conversation.
Any dollars that we provide to Old Thrashers, for example.
Non-profitable organization,
Right.
yeah,
We need to have a contract with them for them
Yeah.
to specifically state what those dollars are going to.
yeah. which is, we've said that many years.
But we've
Me
never
and the
really had
last
a contract.
auditor had said that.
I totally understand that you probably did.
And we need to implement some type of contract agreement for that. And Terry, he seemed like, yeah, we can relate that to,
So that kind of money.
the good that it does for the community and everything like that.
Sure.
I think it's more of a formality in my mind than
Yeah,
any changes.
because right now we have an example from Blackhawk County where they've done that, so. Yeah,
Cheryl just confirmed that $60,000 was the annual transfer to emergency management.
Yes.
okay. I
And
put
it was a
those
check
together
written
from
it was a check written to me so that we could transfer the funds.
Right. We had, it's a annual allocation
Yep.
is what we
You're
normally
right.
Annual
What you said
allocation.
is right.
but we don't get.
It was $160,000 that was actually all for
Well, what-
emergency management.
Well, actually, no, it's 190 this coming.
Last
This coming year.
Last year it was 190.
Last year was 190, so it was left on those papers for 190, cause I don't know, cause I don't sit on that board.
So then where'd the other 30,000 come from?
What are you talking about?
That was a year before. Oh. You-
That's not what you said.
25, 26, I mean,
30,000 for what?
The difference between 160,000 and
when we
190,000
paid,
that you just
when we
said.
had, the county had to have that
We had-
updated hazard mitigation plan.
Mhm.
That was like a $27,000 or $28,000 project, and we paid for that because Walt puts that together.
Yes.
He does all the legwork of putting that together, but we paid for it, and that, there was an extra $30,000 on his budget to handle.
Because it was told by us to put that there by the board, from whoever sat on that board, I do remember that. But I don't know what it was actually for. But we did move money over to him as well when he did his what we gave him $160,000 for, $165,000 for the cost of redoing out there.
The remodel
Yeah,
of the.
so I did see that 190 and I was kind
But
of
that's
confused,
some
like,
kind of
why?
complex.
That was ARPA money.
A little background, that the toilet facilities, the bathroom facilities out there were not compliant for the handicap. They were very aged and they needed updated. So that was part of the
So
heating and air conditioning revamp of that building as well.
So is his budget 160 or 190?
It was 160. And
Last
Well,
year,
last year
right?
was
190 had,
Is this year?
I don't know what it is this year.
I just left it at
This year's
190. If you look at,
I did. That's
this
what I
is
did.
not 31,000. That's,
3,100.
3,100, yeah.
yeah,
That's
but you
something
gave that to
totally
Kelly.
Yeah.
And she got confused.
Here's yours. He just gave me the
Oh,
wrong
human
one to
service,
look
yeah,
at.
sorry.
Yeah.
There's the wrong one, but I do have that laying here in my pile. So, Chad, was it 160 or 190
190.
last year?
Yep.
Okay.
25, 26 was 190.
And you're leaving it
Then
at
I'm-
190.
Yeah.
That's
So I
what-
left it
that's
at
what Robin was
190
saying.
because that's, I don't sit
Yeah.
on that board, so I know
Just
nothing.
confirm, I'm looking at those numbers, right?
You
That's
got
what it says on
190.
it. That's what it says on your stuff.
And that comes out general basic.
Yeah, and which we,
No,
It comes out of,
It's a,
Community
it's,
some of it's out of there.
well,
oh, it's right
did it come out of community betterment?
some
This
of
is
it did.
here.
1210.
No, it's out of, 60,000. That's, yeah, it is. It's his. And it's, his department,
That's general basic.
Department 70 out
He's
of
got
his
that in general
department.
basic.
And one is out of Department 99 though.
01,000.
16.
$100,000 is out of
So
Department 99.
160, so, yeah, the other one's out, Department 99 out from the 70.
Thanks, Katie.
Bye, Katie.
No, the general, bye Katie.
Thank you.
So when do you guys want your next budget meeting? Cause I also gotta go upstairs, I gotta get stuff put in.
Chad, what's your schedule like? When would you like to have a meeting.
Today's the sixth, we can.
Yeah, it's, I checked, it was written.
See, I think that doesn't come off. We can't do it on the 10th. The 10th is booked up.
The 10th, yeah, is, we have the safety meeting with department heads on that. Thank you, Jake.
Either, for myself, it either have to be Wednesday or Monday or Wednesday morning after 10 o'clock. Or Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon.
Okay, so listen to me on that. On the Thursday and Friday, I have to go up to IGHCP.
Okay.
So we get, what'd you say, what other days work for you?
Monday or Wednesday after 10 o'clock.
How about we do Wednesday? I don't, rather not on Monday because I need to get this in. I have to try to call Solutions to get my stuff.
Okay.
I got other stuff to do.
How long will that safety meeting
See.
last? Maybe in the afternoon, too.
I don't know, Jake. What do you got? That's planned for an hour, right? 10:30.
I think my outline's gonna probably be a little longer than that.
I was gonna say, I think that would go long.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna be quick one.
So, yeah, you guys wanna do
Wednesday,
Wednesday?
Wednesday works for everybody, but
What time?
Wednesday, what time?
we have that, we can go to this thing at 7:30 in the morning. I planned on going to that.
You guys do things at 7:30 in the morning, we do this at 7:30 in the morning.
No, we're invited to this. We're giving that,
Oh, yeah.
the capital campaign lunch,
So we can do it after that, 8:30?
I'd say 9 o'clock.
You good with that, Chad?
yep.
9 AM, work session. And you want me to change everybody's wages back that's listed, even if it's listed on your paper? Is that right?
I would like that. That would work for me. If the other guys think differently, I'll go with the consensus, but
I would agree. I would like to see it
Cause it's already on your paper, that's why I'm
back the way it
asking.
is, and that way the totals will add up. Anything else?
Bathroom break.
no, I think we could, yeah, I mean, it's not on topic, but,
Doesn't have to be, as long as we're not voting on it.
yep, it's who wants to attend the Farm Bureau, meeting?
What is that, tonight?
17th,
17th
7
at
o'clock.
7, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it 7 o'clock. We've always gone. We
Uh,
just listed
and
to
they
go.
said they'd be good with just one person attending too. I mean,
I don't care.
Sure, as long as it's posted. 2 people go, it still has to be posted.
so,
Accept the invitation. Somebody will go.
I've talked to Eden, they said somebody will be there, you know.
We're not adjourned yet, so just from a ministerial, perspective of what we're doing. Who's gonna make contact with Abby Lichty?
I will reach out and ask her to come over and have a discussion with us.
Alright,
I think we ought to include, Steve in that as well. Just to kind of get a game plan of what they're looking at. He did pop in the door yesterday and tell me, just so you don't have to worry about it, the immediate initial appearance, legal matters for initial appearances and things like that are covered for next week. Okay, so the attorney's duties for the immediate court things are taken care of for this coming week. Alright, so,
have you seen this email?
we did get some direction from Paul today as well. So I don't know if you guys have been on email yet, but he talked to the ISAC attorneys, Beth Manley, and she gave him some bullet points to work with, for us to work with as well.
Okay.
So we can sit down and talk to her, and then Monday or Tuesday, whatever day works best for you guys, probably sooner than later. And we can do it Wednesday, I guess, if you want to. That's tied into a meeting, but I'd like to do it sooner than later so we can get something going here.
Yeah, I mean, day one of the 40-day countdown is, next Monday, so. On an issue like this, I think we need to, in my opinion, I think we need to have neither one of us are attorneys last time I knew. And, I think we need to have some legal advice, legal thought processes on what 6914A2 is. It's pretty complex. There's a lot of different paragraphs involved in there.
Right.
I think we need to each read it through and get your highlighter out and highlight the things that you might understand and make notes on things that we don't understand, so we can have some questions, kind of question and answer session. Cause I don't wanna take a, shoot from the hip stand on anything.
Well,
as I
that's
said
it. When I
earlier,
get to that point, we need to continue to move along very quickly so that this doesn't stagnate and stale, because there's some requirements by Iowa code that we need to get somebody in place, so, to your point.
Well, that's what I said, day one of 40-day countdown is, Monday, but I would like to think something be done way before 40 days, that law enforcement has a concern about having, people available, Steve Geibelhauser had stuck his head in the office and said, just for information, that the initial appearances are taken care of. Anything that comes up, those will be taken care of.
So I would ask you as chairman, I guess, Chad, is to go talk to her, see when she's available, and we'd have to post it 24 hours. I can come in anytime.
Okay.
Other than Tuesday morning at 8:30. I do have a standing appointment. I could change it if I had to.
As I was walking in the building, the courthouse this morning, her and, Darren Statter and, the public defender were walking out. She had commented that she was going to some school event right now for some presentation or something like that, but I will reach out to her at the soonest opportunity and see when, and then I will get a date where we can all meet with her, cause I don't know her. I met her in passing. I just don't know her. So I think all of us need to meet and greet and at least meet with her, and this is news to me right up here, that letter.
Yeah, you can see it came out last evening, pretty late. But there's another one in there, I'll just pull up real quick so you're familiar with it as well, because it came out fairly late last evening. There we go. So, just so you're aware of what's going on here as well. And you read that one this morning too, Mark, right?
I did.
Am I in your way? Can you see past my head? Okay. So you're gonna reach out and talk to Ms. Lichty?
Yep.
All right.
I will do that today. I'll do that as soon as possible, like I
Okay.
said.
In her email, it showed 2 other people in the office. Is that the only people currently in the office then? In Abby's letter?
Well, I'm not sure, let me just look.
Are we adjourned, sir?
I haven't heard a motion to adjourn yet.
Just adjourn from the chair.
You can adjourn from the chair too.
I could, but I don't wanna do anything that would be, counterproductive to what the rest of the board would wanna do.
I think we have our orders.
Yeah, if there's a second to that, let's adjourn.
I'll make a motion, second.
We are adjourned. 12:10.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Bye, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
You got a tournament this weekend?
Archery? Oh yeah, every weekend.
Do you?
Every weekend, and we're going to Cardinal this weekend, so we'll be in.
Whose cup is that?
Oh, that's
It's
I thought that might be.
And I
yours.
kept knocking bills
That
over.
orange one with archery on it, so. Where, so you going to our Cardinal?
Cardinal, yeah. So we're by. It's a fun little archery tournament. So 2 of my boys are going to a church retreat, so just Logan is shooting.
it's down to the right. The one before that.
It's fun. Caleb's doing it too.
Okay, there we go.
It's interesting. Appreciate the.
I think
Right there.